Dolphins, toughness stands to unite. Miami stands to fight. Lights burn bright. From the water they rise, fins cut the air. Storming fields.
Well, Dolphin fans, we're here. This is our final post-game show of the year. I'm going to miss hearing that music. I'm going to have to play it on the regular just to get myself popping. What I predicted would happen on pregame with Dahl and what Bobby predicted was not the case. That's why he's hiding. No, he's just running a few minutes late. But our Miami Dolphins went into MetLife where the stadium looked as empty as the tanks of the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins lose to a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 32-20, where he looked like he was the Aaron Rodgers of old. With me today is Neal, who's adjusting his camera and his headphones. He's forming a disappearing act every couple of seconds, just like the Miami Dolphins. Neal, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I hope the camera. There it is. There it is. But there we go.
There you go.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing as good as I can, Evan. Wow. Here we are. 6 years into a rebuild. And this is it. This is what we get. We go through another and looking back on it, the season really did end a long time ago. And I get that. And I think a lot of us fans get that, but it's no excuse for what we've had to go through since the season ended a while ago. This team is terrible. They really are. They're not good. This is not a good football team. And I don't know. I don't know what to do right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna have a whole show where we dissect this and we talk about certain things. But I think off the top, like just like my initial thoughts, I want to talk to the people as a fan. I was 27 6 years ago. I was 27 when this rebuild began. I had no kids. I wasn't married. I was just getting out of school. And it just seems like a lifetime ago because now I got two kids, I'm married, and it's the same team. It's the same team. Like, everything else in my life changed and got immeasurably better, except this team. This team still finished. It might as well be 7-9. Like, this is it, dude. We're 7-9 again because we're 8-9. But I'm saying, like, back then it was 7-9 because we didn't have the extra game. We were either 9-7 or 7-9. Like, that's what we were. Like, now we're 8-9 again. 6 years later, nothing changed, man. And there's a multitude of reasons why that happened, but it's just shocking that all of the things that had to happen in order for this team to never change for the better happened in 6 years. Not one positive. And so as a fan, I sit here and I'm like, well, what are we going to be like in 6 years? And if nothing changes, since we're in the holiday spirit, I feel like this is the Christmas Carol, dude. I really do. This is the ghost of Christmas Present and Ebenezer Scrooge standing by the fireplace, looking upon Tiny Tim and the Cratchit family, and Ebenezer looking up at the ghost and saying, "Spirit, tell me, will the boy live?" And the spirit looking at Ebenezer and saying, "If nothing changes, Ebenezer, I see an empty place by the fireplace where a crutch once stood."
Wow.
And it's like, this is it, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, will the Dolphins ever be good again, Spirit? And it's like, I see an empty place by the fireplace. That's it, man. That's what I got to lead off.
That's amazing. So, in the course of this game, you could tell first drive, the team looked completely lost. Then the defense basically says, okay, we're going to give you easy field position. We kick a field goal. Then we get the ball back again. Achan runs the ball for 60 yards. We get the ball at the 3. We ended up at the 15. And I go to myself, this is the Dolphins. Then we get a ball with a pitch. Every time we pitch the football back, we stayed back there. It's almost like we'll go take the yards. It's 1st and 10, 2nd and 19. It was just constant. And Tyler Huntley, for what he is, he's a backup. He's not very good. He's below average. He does what he needs to do as best as he can. But the interceptions were not surprising. The offensive line, Teron Armstead, it's time for him to retire. Robert Jones is time to be cut. Liam Eichenberg, time to be cut. Patrick Paul looks like a rookie right tackle. Tyler Huntley looks like a third stringer. He's no backup in the NFL. Jalen Wright had no chance today. No Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson looked lost today. Jalen Wright did what he could. Achan had a nice burst, good for Achan, but Achan was a good weapon. Waddle, and how many times did Tyler Huntley drop the ball? And then he got the ball and he picked it up and he threw it really quickly. And then Waddle, pow! And I go, Jalen Waddle, where are you? Like
being Jalen Waddle, dude, just being Waddle,
running bad routes. And like honestly, and I said this, I texted Bobby when this happened, and I love El Jefe. How are you, buddy? Hope all is okay. But I texted Bobby at this moment. I go, the defense quit. The moment they took a 7-6 lead, they quit. They quit. They go, why are we trying this offense? What was our total yardage today on offense? Let's take a look here. Our offense today threw passing yards, 199 passing yards, and a lot of that was in garbage time. Rushing yards, we had 135, but a lot of that was in garbage time. And
and half of it was one play. So
exactly.
I mean,
so the way the offense ran today, I looked at this team, and I said this to Bobby last year. The one thing I didn't like about Fangio was the fact that Fangio hit upstairs. The fact that the moment at the end of the game, they never showed McDaniel. They showed Calais Campbell and Anthony Weaver hugging and crying on the sideline. And I'm going, we're going to lose both of these guys. There are true warriors and leaders on that defense. Zach Sealer still showing that fight because on that touchdown saying he got tackled, which he did. The offense, running bad routes. Not sure what was going on. Eichenberg, when Achan scored, throwing him up in the air. I hope that's the last time we ever see Liam Eichenberg. But Mike
God,
McDaniel
I hope
today,
so. Please, Lord. Please, Lord.
But Mike
please.
McDaniel today, Snoop Huntley, I don't blame him for today's game. He's a third stringer.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Bobby brought it up on pregame. We still need to bring in competition. But Tua on the sideline with the dreadlocks and his diva glasses like he's Tyreek Hill.
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
Wonder.
It wasn't that cold there today. It was 30-something degrees. They were running to heaters. This team today, the weakness, the softness, the patheticness that they showed is a carbon copy of the head coach. When they were down by 12 points, he was still looking at the play sheet like he still had a chance. He didn't show. I would have been, when we were down 12 points, give the play call sheet to John Embry, give it to Frank Smith. I'm going to go console my players on the sideline. I'm going to go try for. Why would he? He's honestly, someone put it on X, and I agree. The first question from somebody at the podium today: are you going to give up play calling next year? If he says no, fire him on the spot. I apologize to Bobby today. I said that it would look really bad on Robert Kraft to fire Gerard Mayo, but Gerard Mayo, they know that Mike Vrabel is a better head coach than Gerard Mayo. With Drake May and the setup that they have there, they're going to go get a better coach. Right now, I am jealous of the Jets and of the Patriots because they're going to make their team and their coaching staff better next year while we're still going to be in the dumps. Like my dream tomorrow, I'm going to have a dream tonight that Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier get fired today and that Stephen Ross saw enough today. If he thinks that tomorrow, that he is going to be able to compete in this division with the fact that the other two teams are going to revamp themselves with a new head coach on all sides of the ball and Josh Allen, oi, oi, oi. And today, my kids go, I feel bad for you. I go, I don't feel bad. I'm a proud Dolphins fan. But Mike McDaniel, in a game that mattered, in a game that actually mattered on a winning record, quit. His team quit on him. His defense quitted on him. They didn't care about the win. That's the thing. They didn't even have the pride. And do you realize the Jets, the 4-win Jets, almost beat the Dolphins twice this year?
Twice.
If it wasn't for their screw up in Hard Rock, this game wouldn't have mattered anyways. The Miami Dolphins crapped the bed every time they had this year, and in a chance. By the way, did you notice how empty the stadium was? I guarantee you there were actually more
Empty,
Dolphin
dude.
fans in there than there
Like
were Jets fans.
empty.
And honestly, this team. I've been saying something, Bobby. I always troll about Grier, but I know people are finally starting to see what I've been seeing for so long. There is no leader on this football team except our defensive coordinator. That guy showed heart, and I think his team just gave up, and he knows he has an opportunity, and his resume is not going to be based on this game.
No,
But man, oh man, that head coach, he is the worst head coach in Dolphins history. Because Cam Cameron won and out. If Mike McDaniel would not have had this season, he wouldn't be the worst. But this is the worst performance of a head coach in Dolphins history. To have the quarterback, the wide receivers, the team that he's had, the players that he's had the last 3 years, for this to be your worst season out of 3, and you're talking about Brian Flores potentially winning the division, winning number 1 seed and getting a head coaching job. And 2019, we talked about it on Fin's Talk Overtime on Thursday, and I hope Greg feels better, and I hope Greg stay safe, Brett, with the storms. Whoever is facing the storms, I know what you go through. I feel it every day. So you guys, I get it. If you need any support, I'm here to give you advice. But no, this team is worse than 2019. There are stat lines on this team that are worse than 2019. And as
That's
bad
scary.
as Grier is, Mike McDaniel is the guy who shows up every day to lead men onto a football field. And this man is the most pathetic leader I have ever seen. This team quit on the football field today. They quit. They said, we submit. They waved the perennial white flag. And I'm not upset that they lost. I called the loss today. I said they were not going to have a chance to win, that Jason Sanders would do his job. But I said it. I remember I told you, Neal, they were going to go into that half. You said, well, they're going to get 3 points. I go, no, they're going to turn over the ball. They're not going to get any points. What happened?
And they did. They turned it over.
That's
0
our
points.
team. That's our team.
Yep.
And how many pitch outs and screens did we see?
Dude, especially when like they're expecting it. Like everybody knows what McDaniel is going to do. And they know that Tyler Huntley isn't a threat to throw the ball downfield. So like, what are you doing pitching the ball?
Yeah.
Like with a running back who can't break any tackles at all.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling, the arrogance, because that's what it is. It's the arrogance of this guy. His play calling is just so arrogant. He just thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room. And it's like, dude, you have been figured out.
Let's take a moment. You ranted at the beginning. I ranted now. We would not have this opportunity to rant, and all of us would be jumping off local bridges. You might have been climbed an oil rig in San Antonio and jumped off that. We would not have the moment to be here. We'd not all be here together if it wasn't for the hero in the middle who we all adore. So, Bobby, welcome to the Dolphins postgame show. I got everything set up properly. I didn't make any mistakes. You must be so proud. Welcome to the postgame show, led by Bobby Finstock, who's going to keep this show on the level today. We can go for a while as long as he'll let us. So, Bobby, welcome to the postgame show. How do you feel about today's football game?
You say they quit. I don't think they showed up. I didn't see any fight in this team. I think with the defense held as much as they could, but the offense never showed up. I think you guys said a lot that makes sense. I've been saying all season, let's wait till the off season. Let's wait till it's over to rant and rave. And I've seen some comments in there. Oh, let's take a deep breath. I saw that there, I think, from Daniel. Daniel, thank you for watching. There's things to be optimistic about. Really? Is there? We just ended 8-9. We just ended the season at 8-9. What did we project this team to do this year? With all the talent, all the hype and hoopla, all of that, all the draft picks spent, all the money spent. Think about where this team should have been and where it is. There is nothing to be optimistic about at this very moment. This is the time to go on your rants, to demand more, to call this team what it is, an epic failure. That's it. This team is a failure. There is nothing to smile about. There ain't nothing to be happy about. It's a complete joke. I envy the New England Patriots. they fired their coach when they thought, hey, this ain't going to work. I don't know if that's going to be what the Dolphins are going to do. I hope they do it. McDaniel is not a bad coach, a bad offensive coach, because he's a terrible head coach. He should not be a head coach. The Dolphins were the only dumbass team to interview him. And the only great thing he did was to give Tua confidence. That's it. That's all he did. That is it. Yeah, it's very easy to write up play calls for Tyreek Hill when your team doesn't, when your other defenses don't figure it out, to bomb it over the middle. And then your defense has figured it out. What did you do? Not a goddamn thing.
Not a thing.
And today, I saw somebody say they quit when they saw the Denver score. They better not have been watching the goddamn Denver score. All they needed to do was play and win. Who cares what happened in Denver? You weren't going to go in anyway. But who cares? You were supposed to show up and play. They didn't do it. That tells you enough about this coach, about this football team, about this general manager. I don't want to hear anything about Stephen Ross. I see somebody posting about Stephen Ross. Dude, he's the owner. Let's let go. That's not going to go. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
we can't change that.
No, we can't command or pound the table for Stephen Ross to leave. We need the general manager to be let go tomorrow. Man, I would hope that as I'm that's what I'm going to say. I would hope that as I keep refreshing here social media, that I look Dolphins relieve Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel of their duties, because that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. No matter what happened today, Chris Grier needed to be gone. But today's performance, or lack thereof, McDaniel should be gone too.
Just a side note, Bobby, so you're aware, because it's going all over X, that basically, essentially in his interview, Tyreek Hill essentially said he wants out of the Dolphins. He's either going to be looking at his career, or whether it's he's not sure what's going to happen with his career, whether it's with Miami or elsewhere.
I didn't see that yet. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
No.
The way he's been promoting, the way he's been pushing that, the way he's been talking about it all off season. I mean, all season, posting himself in a Chargers jersey, talking about maybe it's time for me to go, all this bull crap, goodbye. Bye.
No.
That needs to happen.
What do you do?
Yeah,
what are you? What are you doing?
Number one player in the league.
Last year. It's what have you done for me lately? And he hasn't done a goddamn thing.
Yeah, he needs to go. Like, God, please, I hope that happens.
And I hate to say it, because obviously my son is a huge fan of Tyreek Hill and all that whatnot. But if we're paying you all that money, you're not showing up, or at least showing the effort that you're trying to show up, good riddance. They're promoting Chris Grier. Look, I heard the senior advisor thing. Whatever gets him out of the damn GM role, I don't give a damn. Move him the hell along. I can care less. Whatever gets him out, whatever makes you feel better at night, to get him out of here. You lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets today in a must-win game. That's what you put out there. It was over before it even started. The vibes sucked. I don't like the text during a game. I don't like to look at Twitter during a game. I was texting Evan during the game. I was looking at Twitter during the game. It was done. You saw the vibe on the field. And that's what you put out there. The defense, as much crap as they got, they did as much as they can for as much as they could. But when you look at your offense and you intercept the ball, David Long, whoever took number 11, intercept the ball and put them in the red zone, and you come away with that, and you're doing screens and pitches and everything else with Jonnu Smith? Like, what the hell are you doing? I can understand you drawing up play calls and your guys can't execute, but you're doing this on purpose in a must-win game. So you could take your tears, you could take up your hyped-up sweatpants, you could do all that little thing with your glasses, and it's shove it up your ass because you suck.
Up your ass. Amen, dude.
By the way, doesn't it look like even Tyreek quit? Even Teron Armstead today. That was the worst game I've ever seen Teron Armstead play.
Dude, and I want to say this, like on and what you're talking about, Bobby, it speaks volumes, okay, that in the beginning of the season, you get paid and your little show me the money video, okay? Yet last game of the season, your ass has got the hater blockers on, sitting over there like Stevie Wonder doing nothing. with the like, not going to anybody and trying to help them out, just sitting over there in your little jacket, okay, with your hater blockers on, hating life, okay, and you're supposed to be the franchise quarterback, all right, and you're doing nothing to get these guys going. Like, absolutely,
No,
anytime they went to
absolutely. Look,
him, he was sitting there looking like he was
Yeah.
hating life.
no, I am right there with you. Again, this goes straight up to Tua as well. You're paid all that money. And yeah, you can't, first off, you're unreliable because you can't stay healthy. And I know you can't control that. You know,
By the
it
way,
is what
that
it is.
pitch,
Your
that
body
pitch is
sucks.
above.
But to sit there or stand there on the sidelines with a smirk on your face with your sunglasses on,
He looks
sitting there, not being a part of the, really telling your guys, hey man, let's do this, man. We, getting in your, I don't
Nothing.
see any passion from you.
arrogant.
Nothing.
You're looking like I got paid. That's all good, dude. The hell with you too. Who
Yep.
the hell are you with your popcorn fingers, your potato chip fingers, making all those damn jokes at the fans? Same thing with Chris Grier. That's what, for those who are sitting there still and saying, hey, Kumba freaking ya, Tua laughed at you midseason.
Yeah, laughed.
He said, sit there and eating your potato chips, blah, blah, blah. That's easy. Well, look at you now. You're 8-9. You couldn't even play the final game, the last 2 games of the season. Look at Chris
Couldn't
Grier. He
beat the
laughed
Titans,
at you.
Like,
Chris
He
Grier
couldn't beat-
laughed at you.
Number 1 pick. The Titans got the number 1 pick.
dude,
And they
couldn't
love
beat
Cam
the
Ward.
worst
Watch this,
team
Bobby
in the
Melendez.
league.
Doll, I love Courtney. Is going to become a Titans fan because the Titans are enamored with Cam Ward. Can you imagine? Bobby, you will probably buy tickets to the first Titans game so you can take Tristan to see a star quarterback in action in Tennessee.
it's just
This is the thing.
it's
Here's my
yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
If Miami would have came out today, and Orion just put it there, Michael definitely, I'll
Oh,
send you
Mike
the link
Brown.
right now. I'll send you the link.
He's alive? Mikey! At Hebrew Hammer. Happy New Year.
Orion says it right there. This is the problem I had with this football team today. If Miami would have came out, and I had it 20-9, Evan, as you know. Neal, that's what was my pick. I had my 29 Miami.
23-20. I even gave him
the
credit
Jets.
for 20 points.
The Jets. You're facing the Jets 20-9. I called the Broncos were going to win, so Miami wasn't going to playoffs either way. But if Miami would have came out and showed fight, showed effort, showed like they gave a damn, I would have been, you know what, man? At least they tried. It sucks. Still fire Grier, blah, blah, blah. But no, this team did not show up. Your head coach did not show up. They failed each other. They failed the organization. They failed the fan base. And where does that start? Forget saying the owner. That's not going to change.
It's not changing.
Stop dreaming.
Bobby.
Bang the table on the GM. Bang the table on the head coach.
Bobby, do you mind if I share the link with our friend?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to do right now. I was going to send it
I'll
over
do
to
it. I've
you.
already, Mike, if you're on X, just check your X messages. I've dropped the link to you there.
I know
I mean,
Mike will come
like-
with the fire. But go ahead, Neal.
Thinking about like the hope, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning of your address just now, you mentioned that what is there to be hopeful for? And that's like the scary thing about what we just witnessed, not only today, but all season. Like this guy, McDaniel got a game ball this season, like 2 weeks ago. He was given a game ball for like beating up on a super injured 49ers team. Like, what hope can we have that anything actually positive is going to come this offseason?
Speaking of the most positive fan on Dolphins universe, my fellow Hebrew brother. Let's see if he can bring in some positivity. Is he ready? Thumbs up, Mike. Welcome.
Oh, good God. It's good-
Mikey, what's up, brother? How you doing, my man?
Oh, I've been better.
Yes.
We missed you.
I missed y'all, man. Missed y'all. Sorry, work's been a little crazy. Let me tell y'all something. Okay. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New
Neal,
Year.
Happy
Bob.
New Year, man. Happy New Year.
I just watched, I'm sure y'all have been talking about it, this Tyreek Hill video out of the locker room where he wants out of the organization. And that's not me just saying that. Literally, it's 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, yeah, we heard about it.
Omar Kelly just tweeted it out. Here's the problem that I had with today. Okay. Tua showed his real self today. Okay. And last week too. I get it. You're not medically cleared. Don't sit on the sidelines with your stupid Fendi sunglasses like a jackass, right? Like every time they keep panning to him, he's smiling over there. And I'm like, guys, this isn't funny. Like, and the thing is, and I'm sure this is all going to come out over the next couple of weeks. Tyreek Hill's not happy. Jalen Waddle's not happy. Whoever. I could care less. I'm not a Tyreek Hill fan. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah.
Right? The Dolphins fumbled this season, no pun intended, on the backup quarterback position. They fumbled like hell the safety position. Jordan Poyer sucks. Take him out to the fields, football-wise, shoot him and bury his ass.
Yeah, mercy killing, dude. Just mercy. Have mercy on him. Just
Good
end it.
God. Javon
God.
Holland, useless. Okay? Here's the one thing I'm going to say, because I'm a positive type of guy most of the time. Okay? They said it today. There's not one team in this league that lost more games to injuries than the Dolphins. Listen, factual. Take any team in this league, take their quarterback, their QB1 out for 6 games. Tell me what their record is going to be. Take their starting right tackle, who's one of the best young right tackles in the league, out for the year. Tell me how a team's going to do. Tell me no Jalen Phillips, no Chubb. McDaniel deserves one more year. Chris Grier, send him to MFing Siberia and get rid of him. I would hire Louis Riddick right now. I would call Louis Riddick and I would say, come be our general manager. And the last thing I'll say in this opening monologue, whoever this clown is with Greg Olson, okay, whoever this announcer is with Greg Olson, first of all, Greg
Joe
Olson,
Smith or whatever his name was?
Why? There's a reason why you lost your job to Tom Brady, who's never done this before.
Who sucks at it? Who actually really sucks at it? Like, he's
Greg
awful.
Olson is horrible. And so is Tom Brady. Okay, first
Brady's
of all,
awful. He's awful.
if you want to relocate your lips to the genitalia of Aaron Rodgers, he's
on the field. He's on the field. Like, just go down there.
Look at
You
this.
know?
Look how good he is. They're 4-12.
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind? And you're talking about a Dolphins team that has nothing to play for. They're looking up at the scoreboard saying, okay, the game's over. What are we playing for? I get it. You played for it's like these guys, it's like these teams that are supposed to care about these bowl games, right? Who cares?
Yeah,
Bowl. So the Dolphins are playing in today. Like, I'm so sick and tired of all these people that just, oh God. But besides that, everything else is pretty well. So I'm so taken back by like Tyreek Hill. Really? Are you kidding me? Are you joking me? In the locker room, you're going to say you want out after we extended.
What a loser. What a loser.
Are you kidding me? I'd leave his ass there. I'd tell him to call one of his 17 baby mamas and tell him to send him a ticket home. What I would do. Clown. What an absolute clown.
What a clown. What a
And by the
clown.
way, McDaniel right now is saying emotions is high. I don't rely on secondhand hearsay. Neal, you should dissect what McDaniel has to say. You'd probably make about 5 or 6.
Dude, I can't listen to him speak anymore.
I can't.
I refuse. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't listen to accountability, and adversity is an opportunity. I can't. It hurts me. It hurts me.
I mean,
So very, very quick, I'm so sorry. Let me just say this. Mike McDaniel said he was informed in the fourth quarter that Tyreek Hill was not available and wasn't that wasn't a new injury. And then
He quit.
He says
He absolutely
Tyreek
quit.
Hill, quote unquote. This is after to Omar Kelly on the video I'm just reading. He says, I have to do what's best for me and my family. If that's here or wherever the case may be, I'm about to open up that door for myself. I'm out, bro. It was great playing here, but at the end of the day, I have to do what's best for my career.
Thank God, dude.
Why?
Thank God. Thank God. Honestly, like that is addition by subtraction. Honestly, like Tyreek Hill is a cancer and he's getting close to his 30s, if not in them already. I don't really know how old he is. I think he's already in his 30s. Like the guy is all about himself and just let him go destroy a locker room at this point.
I mean, he's 30, but Neal, I don't disagree with you. I think the problem with that mindset, though, is how big of an avalanche is that? Like, what is that?
Well, but the problem, we couldn't afford – this team has to fundamentally change. So you can't do that with 2 small receivers with the same skill set. One of them had to go. and you're
Right.
going to keep Waddle. So getting rid of Tyreek should have been part of the plan anyways. The fact that he's gone full diva, just like at least it forces the ownership to have to do that. Versus, imagine if the guy was still saying all the right things, but still being a dick, you know? Like still running the wrong routes, dropping important touchdowns and first downs, like not being able to catch fades because he's small AF. Like this is a good thing that he wants out. Maybe that's the good thing, you know, because
And
it had to happen.
if the Dolphins were to, the Dolphins would have a $12.7 million in dead money in 25 if Tyreek is traded after June 1st. So that's been
Guys,
put out.
So that's what'll happen. They'll trade him after June 1st, and they'll only have 12.5 in dead cap. I mean, it is what it is,
unless
though.
he retires. Unless he retires.
Well, he ain't retiring, dude.
By the way,
someone's gonna want
just a
that
side
guy.
note. I love what Greg's had to say because I'm convinced on the airplane or every night that I don't know if you guys remember this childhood movie. It was called Angels in the Outfield.
Oh, yeah,
Where
of
that's
course.
a little kid who goes, "It can happen." Danny Glover in that movie came into the locker room throwing bats and saying, "We're coming in tomorrow morning at 9:00 and we're going to work on fundamentals." Mike McDaniel in Week 18 is talking about
Yes,
fundamentals.
God,
Let's talk about
I
the
know.
basics of
I know.
football. Let's
God.
figure out whether or not Liam Eichenberg doesn't fall on his ass, that Robert Jones doesn't fall backwards 10
Hey,
feet.
thank God that's over, dude. Thank
By the way-
God the Eichenberg train is done, dude. That's a positive. There you go. It's
By the way,
over.
I thought pitching was in baseball, not in football. How many pitches did this guy throw today backwards?
I mean,
Backwards.
listen, you can call him Snoop, you can call him Peanuts. I don't care what the hell you call him. He sucks. the guy's terrible.
Sucks.
Listen,
Yeah, sucks.
I get a text from my father. Hey, Snoop is starting. I'm like, great, we're gonna fucking lose, right? Like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh god. And
He can't look. He can't be the veteran quarterback on this team next year. He can't.
Where is Mostert? Why are we throwing screens to Alec
Mostert's
Ingold?
gone, dude. Mostert's gone next year, dude. That's
Jeff
it.
Wilson.
He's gone.
Like, and I had a really interesting thought on the drive home. I was talking to my buddy Terrence. Right now, if I gave you the opportunity to fire McDaniel to hire Anthony Weaver, would you do it?
Yes.
See,
Yes.
it's interesting because the last three coaches we had before McDaniel were all defensive-minded coaches.
Yes.
And they all failed. So,
But look at him on the sideline. But Bobby, remember what happened when we hired Anthony Weaver? Do you remember what I said on that show? Do you
What?
remember what I said? I said,
you
I'm
missed me.
very excited about the hiring of our new head coach, Anthony Weaver. I said that the day we hired him because I never thought we had a head coach on this team besides our defensive coordinator.
Honestly, like, I don't know. Like, in a hypothetical world, we fire McDaniel, you know, which unfortunately is unlikely.
McDaniel
but
has
let's-
said his full expectation is, and let
and
Mike
that
Brown
Grier would be
finish
back
his
too,
point.
though.
Mike McDaniel says his full expectation is that both he and Chris Grier will return to the Dolphins next season. That's his expectation. Mike, what were you saying, man?
He should come back. Honestly, you get rid of Grier, you bring in a GM, you got to give him one more year with this team because the truth is, and everybody can shake their heads, this is the truth. You don't have a better choice than him right now. If you're going if you don't keep, like, do I like Anthony Weaver more than McDaniel? Yes, but you're also talking about a guy who's never been a head coach before. It's like, okay, we're going to fire him and go hire
Weaver
him.
was, though. He was a head coach in Houston, and that didn't go well, but he was he not?
No,
He
Anthony
was
Weaver
the DC. He was the DC.
No,
He was the DC. Okay,
No,
he was
the
the DC.
Romeo Cornell. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
exactly.
live here in Houston, and they love Anthony Weaver, and so do I. And I think that's what this may come down to. If they don't want to lose him, they may have to fire McDaniel. But if you're going to keep Tua, McDaniel's the only guy to bring back.
But see, that's the thing. I think it's time to get rid of Tua. I think it's time to move off him. This
How?
cannot sustain. I mean, here's the thing.
They won't
This
do it.
is I know, and this is useless for me saying this, but the best thing I think the Dolphins could do at this point is fire McDaniel and Grier. Okay, let the new GM, all right, decide if Weaver or bring in his guy. Take a quarterback in the first round who they can let Tua, hey, dude, do what you got to do. Let's see if you're it. But have this, like, real rookie who actually could be the guy, all right, sit in the wings. And if Tua doesn't get it done, move off of him in 26 and give the reins to this kid. I know they won't do it, but, like, that's the only thing that they could do.
let me just say, just to follow up on that point. First off, the most likely scenario, what should be the scenario in this case, and I'm all about get rid of them all and start. Now, Tua, he just signed that new deal. Now, is it impossible? No, because look, Kirk Cousins going to get cut. The guys get cut with signing new deals all the time, but I think Tua is here for at least another year. In regards of like the realistic scenario, I see playing out again. You got to fire Grier. That's the first thing. Now, if you're not so sure, don't marry a new general manager with Mike McDaniel. Don't do that. Don't do that. But give that new general manager the opportunity to meet with McDaniel, see if they could vibe, and at least see if he wants to ride it out with him for a year and see if it could work. That's a different story. If the GM says, no, I can't work on it, let's try to, then okay, move out. But I will say though, legitimately, your star player, one of your team captains quit on you tonight.
Yeah.
Quit on you. The one that Chris Grier gave all the money to, the one Mike McDaniel named the team captain or one of the most important players on his team, quit. They asked him, do you accept this type of behavior from a team captain? He says, I'm not going to match emotion with emotion. It's a little cloudy in the heat of the moment for multiple reasons. I know that clarity will be found. This is the time to show that McDaniel should show that he has a pair. Come out after you hear what Hill says and says, we're going to do everything to move him, and move forward without him. Show a pair, but you show that you could be the leader in the room, because Mike says McDaniel should come another year. I get it. But do we see a leader in Coach McDaniel, Mike? Do you actually see a leader of men in Coach McDaniel, especially after this situation today?
See, the thing is, though, is that that is the last thing McDaniel does, because above all else, do that, you give away every advantage you have in potential trade talks, because everybody's going to then know that you're going to get rid of them. So I actually think that that's him trying to keep the locker room, is not doing that, because you also don't know, like I said before, who's on Tyreek's side, right? Is Jalen Waddle a guy that you're going to lose if you move on from Tyreek Hill? I actually like the way McDaniel handled that. Again, like, it goes back to that nobody's talking about this, and I don't know why. The Dolphins lost more games to injuries than any other team in the league. You don't blow this thing up because it doesn't need to be blown up. You need to change your philosophy on certain things. Next year, I'll tell you who would be a captain day one is Aaron Brewer. Aaron Brewer showed up every single game this year at center. They killed it with that signing this year. You bring back Calais Campbell. You get rid of Tyreek. Tyreek's gone. Tyreek is finished. Goodbye. I'll tell you who else showed a pair tonight was Malik Washington. Malik Washington went out there and said, I'm a dude. I got this. I can do this. You have pieces you can build around here. You don't blow this thing up. Because if the four of us are sitting here talking about a brand new head coach, then you're going to have to change philosophies. It's a 3-year build at that point.
Well, I want to say this, Mike. I was where you are a couple years ago when Evan and Brett had mentioned that Grier had to go, McDaniel wasn't the option, Tua isn't the guy. I said all the things that you're saying right now. I said, but where would we be if we do that? We're going to take a step back. Like, I get that, but here's the and your point is well taken, but think about this, okay? I think all of us look at this offense and we have to say that it has to change. It cannot continue to function the way it has, especially with Tyreek Hill gone. So look at Aaron Brewer. The guy is a 270-pound center.
The smallest center in the NFL.
He's the smallest center in the NFL. If this offense tries to change too much, which it has to do, it has to change fundamentally. But when it fundamentally changes, it's not – Aaron Brewer is going to be potentially an odd man out. They're going to need a bigger center than him because he's not going to be able to anchor a run first, a run heavy offense. He can't. He's not big enough. So like I look at this team. I'll just pay attention to the offense because on defense it's going to be massive problems too. But let's just talk about the offense. Losing Tyreek, which needs to happen. They need to bring in bigger receivers and fix the interior of that
bigger
line.
head coaches.
and develop a running game. They have to develop a running game. And currently, they've got this small scat back, who can run between the tackles. Jalen Wright, I think could eventually be that. Mostert and Wilson are going to be gone. I mean, look, like I said, I've been where you are with the whole we can't get rid of McDaniel. Things are going to change too much. And look, it has to.
And
Like,
I'm not saying
has to.
I'm not saying there's one guy I would fire him for. It's Ben Johnson. That's the one guy. That is the one guy that you can bring to me and say, okay, we're gonna fire him and hire him, and I'd be like, all right, let's
Not
go.
after tonight.
No, trust me.
Brian, I made a prediction. Watch what happens tonight. When Brian Flores' defense eats up Ben Johnson's offense, you'll say, Ben Johnson may lose a job tomorrow if he gets beaten up by Brian Flores and they become the 5th seed.
I mean, first of all, the first team ever in the history of the NFL to win 14 games and be a 5 seed.
How crazy is that?
Yeah. And I got a jet here in a minute. Boys, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, Mike. Thanks for coming, man.
And I think the biggest thing for me, Bobby, thank you, and Evan, thank you all so much for always including me.
Always.
Again, like I look around the league and I'm like, it's not, Buffalo's never won jack squat, you know what. Baltimore's never going to win a title with Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of teams right now where you look around the league and you're like, okay, the Dolphins aren't doing it right. Who should we do it around? There's no clear answer. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not drafting Shedeur Sanders. I'm not drafting Quinn Ewers pass. Honestly, if we're going to tear this thing down, suck next year and go get Arch Manning.
Jackson Dart. Get Jackson Dart. That guy's okay. He's okay.
Listen, Jackson Dart is popping one of those Zyn things, smoking on a vape, drinking a natty.
So I was going to say that very quick because what Mike was saying right there, just to follow up with Mike. There's no quarterback really worth taking in the first round. We know Cam Roy's probably going to go in the top 1 and 2. We know Shedeur Sanders is going to overdrafted, but this is a prime year for Miami. Obviously, with Tua, you got him for at least another year. I don't see that changing, but you could in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round snag a guy who people are probably going to try to push up in the mock drafts. He'll probably be 3rd. Jackson Dart, whether that's Cordis Work, Quinn, whatever, they're going to be there. One of those guys are going to be there, and you get them. And they're not projected to be the starter. You don't put that's like, oh, we're moving on. No, but you let them develop, and you move forward.
Yes,
I feel you, y'all. It's been real. I'll keep logged in.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks, brother.
Nice.
Talk to you soon, man. Happy New Year. And we right on time. Right on time. We have Brett Lagasse in the house. What's up, dude?
What's up? Not the Dolphins. That's not what's up.
No.
That's why it's still fire Grier, like we always need to.
I haven't seen Brett since I haven't seen Brett in a long time. And dude, I was wrong, dude. You said those things a long time ago about how we had to move on from Grier and how Tua wasn't the answer, and
a lot of people
and I was wrong, dude. I pushed back on you about that, and I was 100% wrong, dude.
I love my
I'm sorry.
My Brett and Greg, they turned me.
It.
They
That's
healed
it.
me. But by the way, don't you love this quote, Brett, before you go? I don't feel it's my responsibility on my part to spew what I'm thinking or feeling right now. I feel like that would be irresponsible to throw something out and potentially ask for takebacks.
Wait,
When asked why his
What's that?
team underperformed.
Oh,
What a pathetic
McDaniel?
loser that guy is.
Dude, so all right, so with this whole team, Tyreek took himself out of the game. He quit. The Jets trolled the Dolphins, put the scoreboard up on the
They did.
on there. But you know what? The Dolphins didn't miss the playoffs because the Broncos won. They missed the playoffs because they didn't take care of business when they needed to, because they're not built well, because they're not a mentally tough football team. And again, in the cold, they fell apart, right? They always fall apart, like in big moments. And this whole thing, like Tua's not ready for the last 2 weeks, like what the hell's going on with this? Like, and then it's not even just ignore the injury for a second. Why are they so hush and talking in code and all this stuff about it? It's like, what are we doing? So I just don't understand, like, what this whole, if Ross keeps this in place, there's no way we're ever going to have a winner with Ross as the owner. If he thinks this is okay to keep in place, or thinks that if Grier's move from retirement to senior advisor is nothing more than a reassignment like Tannenbaum had, to where he's going to be out of his contract in 26, then this is just it's gonna be more of the same. And I'm just like so like worried that like it's not just that the season's over. It feels like next year's over already if they
Yeah,
don't make
that's yeah.
changes. That's the part I'm having an issue with. And it just feels like I just text Evan and Greg. I did the math. Grier averages 8.3 wins per season with his teams all the way back to Gase. And it's 8.75 if you remove the tank year. So it's just like, holy hell. And the best we did was 11 wins. And it's just like, man, Washington won 12 their first. And
He's Goober.
and then like McDaniel had no control of the team. Like the team quit. You can see that. It wasn't a talent issue. The team quit. The Jets were playing for Aaron Rodgers' possible last game. He got 500 touchdowns, and it was kind of embarrassing where the Dolphins just fell apart. Like they just kind of quit again, and we see
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. And how many times have we seen this? We see it with Philbin, we saw it with Gase, and when the team is checked out, it's over. And Tyreek's out. He wants out. He's done. And I showed you guys. So like, let me bring it up real quick. I got it on my phone. I'll read it to you. So if the Dolphins were to trade Tyreek post this Tyreek's hang on, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Tyreek post 6-1 trade, they would save 12.8 million, but they would have 15.9 million in dead this year, or 25. And 26 will have 28 million dead. And if they release them post 6-1, they'll have 28.6 dead in 25, 28.2 dead in 26, and I have 0 savings in 25. So it's like, how do they move on from them? We'll have negative 15 if it's pre 6-1 trade, and negative 28 if it's post 6-1 or a pre 6-1 release. So it's like, if Tyreek wants out, how do they maneuver that? Then he got Tua's cap hit going to hit, and if they, I forgot how it works, but with his injury and all, they might be able to take his option and reduce the hit, but then it spreads out the hit for 26 to 27, I think. So I don't know what they're going to do. So I don't know. It's like they have so many after they paid Waddle, Tyreek, and Tua all in the same year. What do they do in 25 and 26? I really don't know that a good GM candidate would want to take over this team next year. We're going to be in. I get the feeling Grier's going to move up. Marvin Allen's going to be GM. We're going to run it back with McDaniel and Allen as the next two.
I guess. I love what Greg
Sans Tyreek Hill, though. Sans Tyreek. Like, we're going to have the
Greg
same
had to write.
offense.
Oh, yeah. Well, then we have like
Tyreek.
20-plus players leaving right now.
Yeah.
In free agency, that's not counting. We got to cut Chubb to save money or restructure. You got to cut. There's somebody else you had to cut. But you're going to have to work the deal with you're going to have to work on Tyreek and Waddle's deals. You're already going to have to restructure Waddle just to make it work. Tyreek's just going to have to get cut. You're just going to eat it. You're going to have to pay him or trade him or cut him, but you're going to have to do it post 6-1. So it's a mess for 25. And I've seen anywhere from like negative 15 to like 5 million under. So I don't know where we're at. We're either 15 over or 4 under. No one really has a pulse on that. It's also probably because they're like factoring in different things, but I don't know. It's just this is just a culmination of things over and over. And Greg has like pointed out since the beginning, like all the misses in the draft, all the trades and the signings and the spending is just culminated to this point. And I don't know about anybody else, but even the most positive fans, I don't think they see the light at the end of the tunnel with things if they stay as is.
And no, that's Brett. That's kind of where I'm at now. Like, I mean, I had been a very positive fan for a long time, and I'm at the point now where there is no light at the end of the tunnel. I see that next year is going to be really bad. Like next year, like from where I'm standing right now, having nothing changed. Okay, next year will be worse than this year. Like we probably will be drafting higher next year than we are this year.
But
that's just my feeling.
But it's a good quarterback class, potentially. It depends on who declares and who stays.
Yeah.
Because if Sellers comes out, Alar should be coming out. I don't know if he has any eligibility, but I think he'll probably come out either way.
He can come out next year. Eller can come out next year.
I mean, he could have came out this year. I just didn't know if he had eligibility to stay beyond next year. So, but I think he'll come out next year. Then Arch Manning, if he declares. So there's some talent coming out next year, and I think there's a handful more. So there's some guys at 26 will be good, but and that'd be a good spot to get a quarterback. But it's what do you do now? Like, how do you position yourself to do that? Because like the Bills position themselves to have the picks to move up in 2018. In 2017, they maneuvered, traded some guys, and had a couple extra picks to move up. So where do we go from here? Now Tyreek we should be able to get a first round pick for, so we might have to eat some cap.
I think we get a second, dude. I think we can only get a second, dude.
You might be right.
I don't think we can get a first for him.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
maybe a second and a fifth. If we got a second and a fifth, I would jump on that. That's how bad.
I would take it on the highest bidder.
Yeah.
I'd put it on the highest bidder. And the whole thing with like the backup quarterbacks looking bad, you got to put that on a lot of McDaniel. Not getting the reps, not getting prepared, not taking a backup quarterback situation seriously. The fact that we need a backup quarterback is frustrating. It's just offensive line looked bad. Patrick Paul does not look good at right tackle at all. He looks so much better at left tackle. So we know
because he's not a swing tackle. He's a left tackle. That's it. That is it.
So he needs to remove. Armstead looked bad. Wynn looked bad. I just think those guys cashed it in. I don't think those guys were done. Brewer even looked like he got to the point of one of the sacks where he's like, he just kind of looked like he wanted to keep playing, but was just so over it.
I just don't know if Brewer can be a future part of this offense either. The guy's so small, and this team can't continue to operate the way it is. He is just such an undersized center that once we move away from the athleticism, which is inevitable, he is going to be a massive liability. And it's sad because he was such a big part of the team this year, but the guy is going to be really bad for us going forward.
And honestly, to not go full negative, so Jonnu Smith still looked good, still made some plays. Jalen Waddle is still a bright young player. I mean, is he elite? No, but he's a good young player. Achane, again, good young player. I think any offense, look beyond McDaniel, beyond that, he's a piece that pretty much anybody would use. So he's definitely a piece you can use. Jalen Wright, I think there's still something there. I don't know if I don't want to say elite back, but there's still something there with he potentially be a solid back, solid contributor. Yeah. The more I watch him, I finally figured out who he kind of reminds me of. It reminds me of Stephen Ridley from the Patriots. So he kind of has that flexibility, loose hip runner. And then you have Brewer. I mean, Brewer could be he's still young enough to have him for a couple more years as a center. He does his job. He's Austin Jackson. If you can keep him healthy, if he stays healthy, solid right tackle, nothing special. Again, Eichenberg has to go, but Patrick Paul, there's potential at left tackle. Other than that, the offense, I would just gut the rest of the offense.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I would just move on. Hill, the tight end Hill, I would probably just keep him because he's cheap. Just keep developing. If he doesn't work out, you're not really hurting anything. If he gets cut at camp, gets cut at camp, whatever. Smythe would go. I would start trading some assets. I would start trading some players.
What is the core of this team? On offense and defense, what is the core of this team?
So I think the core offensively, who I mentioned, and you'd have to say Tua for now, right? So Tua, Jonnu, Achane, Waddle. That would probably be the core right now.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, whether a lead or not.
And on defense, I mean, it's Sealer, right? Sealer and Ramsey. He moves to safety, maybe.
I'm going to put Brooks in there.
Brooks, I like Brooks. You're right.
Yeah.
And Dodson looked good too. Dodson looked good.
Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't start Dobson as a full-time linebacker, but you get me another starting linebacker, and Dobson could be a decent nickel, a rotational linebacker. I'm okay with that. But we still need a stud linebacker.
Chop looked good. Looked good.
But other than that, who on this team right now is you would take over anybody else on the let's do Greg's exercise of the teams in the playoffs, the top 4 teams on both sides, AFC and NFC. Who would take players off our roster to improve this?
None of them.
I mean, the Lions would take anybody on defense right now because they're so depleted.
Yeah. But on offense, those guys wouldn't take any of them. Look at those guys. Their number 1 receivers are better than ours. I mean, maybe Waddle with Baltimore. I mean, Zay Flowers. I kind of see them the same. But
Hill could probably start on any of those teams. Ramsey could probably start on any of those teams.
Yeah. Chiefs would take Hill. Probably take Achane.
Yeah, Steeler would.
I don't think they take Hill back. The way Hill acts, I don't think Andy Reid wants anything to do with it.
You had to.
No, No, what I'm saying, I'm
Like you
saying
caught me
more
off
like
guard. What?
I'm saying more of like talent wise.
Yeah,
Could
Kimmel.
he start to make a difference? That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, who else? I mean, like maybe some of the other ones. It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
Calais Campbell, I think, is going to retire. I think he'll retire.
I
If
would
not,
follow
I'm in
Weaver
Baltimore.
wherever Weaver goes. Follow Weaver.
If Weaver, I'm not saying he is. It's the first year's defense coordinator, and he's done a fantastic job. I see him more as a nickel passing coverage linebacker. He's not a bad linebacker. I just don't see him as a full-time starter. But he's not a bad linebacker at all. As far as that goes, though, I don't. Where are we going with that?
Weaver, you said Weaver. You were talking
Weaver.
about
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's so much going on. What if? I don't know if I would hire Weaver as a head coach, but if he's that sought out there as a head coach, I might start looking at my head coach like, you know what?
Yes,
I would.
That's where
would.
I'll be honest. If he stays on the roster or on the coaching staff for next year, if he doesn't jump to take an opportunity elsewhere, which I still think is very much in play for him to go because of what he's done and how liked he is around the league. I'm talking about Anthony Weaver. I could see him, being the D coordinator next year. Mike McDaniel being on a very short leash. If the Dolphins underperform at midpoint of the season, seeing that change happening and Weaver becoming the interim coach and seeing how that plays out. I could see that coming into play.
I actually see something different. If Weaver doesn't get a job with a head coaching job, if McDaniel is back, and Grier is back, I would not want to be part of that potential blow up in 26. If I can get a defensive coordinator job somewhere else,
are you?
I might lateral shift. I would not want
Patrick
the job.
Graham did.
Let me ask you. This is a great question.
I'd bolt.
Daniel has a great question. Daniel has a great question, and we'll start with Brett and then Neal and then Evan. We'll just quickly go through it very quick. But what position? The Dolphins have the 13th pick in the draft. Okay, we know, if it's Grier, where they're not going to look at offensive line. Who knows? Maybe he'll surprise you. But let's pretend you got that pick. Let's say you're the GM, Brett. We'll start with you and then Neal, and then Evan. What position are you going with at the 13th pick?
What position? It's hard to say because of the draft. I might not look at it like I'm definitely getting this position, but I'm going to get a difference maker, an impact player. And I'd probably look at the kid out of Georgia, the safety out of Georgia.
Malachi Starks.
Starks. Okay.
Because he just makes a difference. Like, he immediately improves our garbage safety. Like, it's just a bad play we've had at safety.
Well, we're going to have no safeties next year.
Yeah.
They're both gone.
Right. And not only does he fit a need, which I don't really draft for needs, but he fits what we don't have is a difference maker on defense, a ball hawk. And while the defense is opportunistic, don't get me wrong, they're coached that way. We need someone who has that ball skills to get after it. And DSU, I see what you're saying, but not in this draft. Mid rounds, I go.
Yeah, no, there's no core. I mean, honest to God, there's nobody there at 13 that you should take at quarterback at that point. Later in the draft, third, fourth round, because really this is. I mean, and again, I'm going to watch the draft. I'm going to watch more film as I'm going. I already have started that, but what I've seen, this is more like a Malik Willis type draft where you get the guy they think he's going to go higher and he slips and he's in the third round and you could grab him and then you could move. You don't have to. You could start him, but you don't have to be stuck with him.
Might be able to get Quinn Ewers or something as mid.
Yeah, you don't exactly. And then
guy's like a decent backup or something.
100%. And then you build him up. He's your backup. And then if Tua goes down, now you get to see what you got in him. You put him in, you plug him in. Holy crap, he's actually really good, or he looks good. We could build around him now. Or you say, damn, he didn't look good at all. Now we're moving on from Tua. We still have him, Quinn or whomever, and then we could draft a guy next year.
But you also watch the situation in Minnesota.
Well,
and the reason I say that is
JJ
because
McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. Then there's rumor that they could be trading for Kevin O'Connell or possibly trade it. I doubt it, but but you just don't know. So you watch what's going on with Sam Darnold, what's going on with JJ McCarthy, and then you should kind of see how that plays in the draft too, and maybe someone falls in. But I'm not going quarterback, but you kind of watch how that kind of shakes things up and changes things. So
Yeah, I totally agree with Brett on the fact that you can't draft based on need in the first round. I mean, you definitely want to take the best available player. Malachi Starks, though, is like a top 5 talent in the draft. So I mean, if he's there at 13, I mean, you just take him. And yeah, he does fill a need, but he's also an amazing talent because this team needs, like Brett said, they're mentally weak. These
yeah,
guys are incredibly mentally weak. They cannot handle the opportunity that any adversity brings them. Okay. All right. And so you want to start drafting guys who come from good programs who are like, you know, physically and mentally strong. And that's exactly what a player like Malachi Starks is. And so, like, I want guys like that like aren't afraid to be hit and are not afraid to hit
right.
because we are in a division where you have to go up north, like the conference. You can't play in playoff games in a dome. There aren't any dome stadiums that the playoff teams are in the AFC. They're just
Other than
all outdoor
Houston.
stadiums.
I will
Houston
Well,
say,
okay,
did it.
Houston. Well, but
I will
Houston
Yeah, no,
is,
say, I mean,
maybe the Colts, but that's it. You really
the answers
don't
will
have
change
any.
as they
but they're not a
go.
playoff team. The Colts, I mean,
Right,
Houston
yeah.
might be the only
me-
one, and then they're,
Let me
Yeah, no, you're right.
let me say this very quick, just for 13, because I see Mick says you get a safety in round 2. They fall if the safety is like Malachi and he's one of those can't miss players. Then you got to do what you got to do. Now again, there's a whole offseason here that we could evaluate players, and we will. We got on the clock with Josh Wingate and myself and Mike Vogel, Brett, Dave. Those guys all participate in that. We watch film, we do all that. But there are safeties that I'm intrigued with that are if you don't get a Malachi. Sebastian Castro from Iowa is a guy I like a lot that I'm very intrigued by. For me, obviously 13, obviously in a perfect world, you go offensive line, right? I know a lot of people are going to say that. Again, though, if you know who if you're Xavier Watts from Notre Dame's a guy too. I mean, for me, Mason Graham is one out of Michigan. That's a guy, you might be looking at that might not be a bad pick up there. A big bodied wide receiver. I would love that. Be honest with you. I don't know. There's one guy that I really like, but I don't think he'll be there. I really like Aronde Gadsden later in the draft. I would love to have him, especially because his
that'd be
ties
fun.
with Miami. But
That'd be
he's a
fun.
legit
Yeah.
player.
And he's not a tight end.
Yeah, wide receiver. Evan, I know your stuff or you pay attention, but is there what position wise with 13? If you like, without knowing any players, unless you do, is there any position that you would like Miami to target with the 13th pick?
General manager
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
and
it.
head coach.
I thought you were going to say head coach, but come on, position.
No, position. Wide receiver.
Yeah, man. If you get
He's
Tate
going
McMillan,
impact.
dude,
Any big
Tate
body
McMillan-
wide
That's the guy,
receiver.
right? Yeah,
Tate McMillan could be badass.
Any big body wide receiver. How about that? Since we
Tate
missed
McMillan on
every
this
single one
team
every time.
would make a big difference.
I'm
I
not
think.
kidding. Any big
Oh,
body
yeah.
wide receiver.
So, real quick, you guys want to know some players that were drafted at 13?
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm
Christian
down.
Wilkins.
Yeah.
Deron Payne, Christian Wilkins, yeah, I was getting there. Deron Payne, Hassan Reddick, Laramie Tunsil, Andrew Speed, Aaron Donald, Sheldon Richardson, Brandon Graham. Bad ones, Michael Floyd and Nick Fairley. So now this is from an article from SB Nation before our draft when we took Christian Wilkins. So in 2019, so it was a rundown of picks from 2013. So I mean, like those players. Here's the thing: Deron Payne, good player, not great, but a good, effective player. Hassan Reddick, okay, but he was a pass rusher. Laramie Tunsil ended up being a good player for us. We traded him. Got Andrew Pete's been a solid tackle guard, but nothing special. Aaron Donald and Sheldon Richardson. Sheldon Richardson had a short run of being like an effective pass rusher as the tackle. But so if you're going to go, the thing about position is, so to mention that comment about in the second round, if you're going to go position, I'm not going defensive tackle unless it's someone who affects the line of scrimmage and reworks line of scrimmage every play in the first round. So, like Bobby mentioned, Graham would be one of those guys to do that.
Yeah, Graham would be dope.
For Michigan. He just
Michigan guy,
resets the line
yeah.
of scrimmage. There's two guys
He's
from
a
Michigan I
beast.
would take in the first round because not only do they reset the line of scrimmage against the run, they push the pocket and collapse the pocket, and that makes life easier. Your edge rushers
Him and
get help.
Sealer too. Him and Sealer
So
would be
right.
yeah.
amazing.
So that's where and safety again. Yeah, you can get him in later rounds. And normally I would, but you get a like Bobby said, you get a playmaker like that, take him in the first round.
No, and his
Yeah.
motor, there's some still stuff he has to work on. And I just watched a couple of games of his.
The position I
him a
would
lot.
not draft would be guard. I would not do a guard in the first round, even though we
If
desperately need
you
it.
could trade down, you can get a guard then. You get him in the
Yes,
late
yes.
20s, late 30,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Not at
Top is
13 because there's
Bobby-
a lot of them. There's
You
a
can
lot
also
of
do
them.
it by not get rid of picks for like multiple picks for a crappy guard in Eichenberg or trading back up for Waddle and stuff like that. Yeah, so we have to cut out that kind of stuff, and then we'll have
Yeah.
picks to be able to do those things.
By the way, isn't it ironic? I have a feeling that maybe this weekend, maybe Tyreek and Jimmy Butler have been in cahoots all weekend. Maybe they were talking to each other about the fact that they both want out of Miami. At the
I
same
was on
year.
late
The
last
two
night talking
biggest
Goon
divas.
Squad, Neal.
The two biggest divas.
I've been sad about Jimmy. It's sad.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
sad.
with him,
Yeah.
when it comes to
You had Jimmy Butler, Brett.
no, well, yeah, I know. I did. Don't get me started on the Sixers. I'm not that big of a fan, but my God, that was dumb. But no,
Go Panthers, yeah.
what are you talking about? When you saw him, he got so
I took my
mad.
water,
Like
sorry. Give me a napkin.
you saw Tyreek, he was checked out.
Yeah, he was
He
checked out.
missed practice for illness. He checked out. I knew it when I saw that. I knew it. And then the way the game was
Tyreek
going,
Hill just tweeted too. He tweeted a minute ago.
Well,
He
stupid. He
says,
can't even spell.
"Love, love Finn's Nation, blessing y'all, open doors for the Hill family forever. Nothing but love and respect, or respect and love."
he's
So,
out.
He's out.
He gone. He gone.
he gone.
Bye.
He gone.
Appreciate
But
you.
how is he gone? Can he? What if he retires? But Brett, I can't remember what you said. Do we get cap hit if he retires?
Yeah, I don't know how all that works and all. If there's a retirement,
It's like you cut him June 1st. That's what the retirement looks like. It's as if you cut him post June 1st.
yeah, I was getting ready to say, like, from what I was looking at with the Tua situation, there was a whole article that Over the Cap did, and Over the
Yeah.
Cap and Spot Rack are fantastic to look that stuff up. They broke it down. Over the Cap broke it down of what could happen after Tua's concussion against Buffalo, and it broke down what he could if he retired, what it would look like, and he would owe some of the money. What he would. All the money that was guaranteed to him wouldn't be technically fully guaranteed to him. It would some would be back. There's a lot of situations there, but so with Tyreek, I think he's going to play. He's going to force a trade. I think they're going to trade him. I think they have no choice but to trade him. To be honest with you,
They have no
So,
choice. They have to.
yeah, they don't. Yeah, you're right. They don't have a choice but to trade him because he
Yeah,
has
they have to trade him.
Yeah, and
But that's
it.
a good thing in the long run. I know it's going to be bad for the next couple of years, but like getting out of Tyreek will allow them to fundamentally change the offense, and it's what they need to do because they can't keep running this, gimmicky finesse, out in space, tight window offense with these, speedy small receivers. It just can't happen anymore.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out how they're going to make this work with what they have, and this is why I wanted Brian Thomas in the first round. And I'm not mad at Chop. I even said it when we drafted him. At least we're going premium positions. But I would like Brian Thomas just because his big physical presence, likes to block and all. But I think what we're going to have to do, what they're going to have to do is start really. We're also going to have to really sit and look at is McDaniel the right guy? And I fully believe that McDaniel has the ability to be a good NFL head coach down the road. I just don't know. It's not going to be in Miami. I don't think.
No,
because,
it's not. It's not.
And this goes back to what Bobby pointed out when we hired McDaniel in the first place. When we fired Flores, Bobby kept saying this team needs a veteran head coach for more than one reason. He wanted a veteran head coach because what was it, Bobby? You wanted to be a leader of men and someone who can go to the front office and say, no, this is what I want. This is what we need. Not kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll just go with that. And hats off to Bob because he called that. That was his biggest concern with McDaniel or any coach without experience coming in to be a first-time head coach of Miami. And he had me like, was that first? I was like, oh no, we can go with the first-time head coach as long as they're the right mindset. And maybe, but Bobby was right where it's like you needed that like Doug Peterson or someone to come in to push Grier, but Grier didn't want that because that's what Flores did. And
Can I ask you guys a question? All three of you a question. We always thought and Bobby, you've always said this, that Stephen Ross has always been about the flash. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Old
Flash has been Tyreek Hill for 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
If Tyreek Hill wants out, and Mike McDaniel could not keep that under wraps and could not handle the locker room, that Tyreek Hill had to go outside the door and had to basically go out and we had no control over this. The fact that you have your best player on your team going out there, is that not an additional like a slap on the wrist for Mike McDaniel saying, Stephen Ross, how do you keep a head coach where now you're telling me the so-called number one player in the league now, who you only got one deep throw to, which was game one where he almost got arrested because you didn't have a leash on him to begin with.
We knew the season was going that way when that happened.
But how do you keep a guy who cannot even have a control over that?
Well, I think here's the thing that I think.
There's no accountability on this team.
I'll say this about the
Didn't play in the
Tyreek.
fourth
I
quarter.
think
He went on his own rogue after
Hold
the
on,
game,
hey,
getting
let
on
me-
a plane with his team.
Let me just say this, and then I'll let Neal follow up, because I saw Daniel's comment because somebody was saying, "Oh, Tua." Let me just this is because Daniel's absolutely right. Okay, because we're talking about McDaniel here, but let me just say, because people are in the comments talking about Tua. Again, you saw today, the issues are bigger than Tua Tagovailoa. Don't waste your time talking about that. If Grier's still your GM at the end of the day, you got bigger problems than Tua being your quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
It don't matter who we have a quarterback.
That's right. It don't matter. Okay. So don't worry. Oh, Tua, oh, Herbert. Oh, it's this guy and that guy. And this is like Daniel just brought it, and he's not wrong. So I want to say that out loud. And forgive me, guys, for not really talking every time. Usually I try to, because we got a full crew here, and I'm hoping that as I'm refreshing, I see something happen. But
I knew that's what you're doing, Bobby.
that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. But let me just say, Daniel's right. There's a lot of holes on this roster, but the main issue with this roster starts at the very top, and that's the one who builds the roster.
Yeah.
But
go ahead,
I'm going to
Neal.
answer your question in this way. I think Tyreek formed the idea that he was going to quit and leave this team much earlier on. I mean, we saw the signs. So McDaniel might get credit. He shouldn't, but he might get credit from Ross for keeping it in the bottle for as long as he did, at least, because Tyreek didn't make any public statements until right after the game when the season was over. And I bet you McDaniel had sat him down and was like, dude, shut up until the season's over. And I think that's exactly what happened. So McDaniel might get credit for keeping that one in the bottle. I don't think he should, but he might.
Well, it almost, and to your point, it almost feels like it was kind of like, hey, listen, if you just shut up, get through the season, we'll get you out of here. Kind of thing. And when they extended them, I don't know. I'm not a cap expert. I am not a contract expert. I have no idea about how that stuff 100% works. I just go on, again, the Spot Rack and over to Cap, because they are awesome resources. They have all the information there. They have a little tool where you can cut and see what happens, and I go from there. Now, obviously, there's more details and stuff than that. Like Tua's contract has a whole lot of different things involved in it. But even in their article showed concerns of like different contracts of dead money, different places. So, so there is a lot of issues. There's a lot of holes in this roster, not a lot of money to deal with. There's a lot of egos at this point, frustrated players, but there's no control. And when Tyreek was brought in, he was brought in with not the mentality that he runs the show. It was never that, but he was brought in that he's the guy. Like, we needed him, and we did. And McDaniel never got a hold control of the roster. But to McDaniel's, in his defense, he accepted a job that was a rough situation, where he was supposed to fix all the bad that Flores did. What all Flores honestly was doing was running a tight ship, and he was a little bit of a dick about it. Like, and that's just the way it is. Like, and I've worked with guys in the Air Force who were just like, this guy's still running today. Oh my God. Today's gonna suck. But everything went well on those jobs because he ran a tight ship. It just wasn't as fun. But like, if you look at this way Brady was handling things with Belichick, it wasn't as fun, but they were winning Super Bowls, and that's where they had fun. So I love hearing the stories from the Patriots guys, because a lot of it was accountable, and the stuff with Belichick where he would have fun and all, but he knew when there's a time for it and all. And it seems like McDaniel was too laid back, and that's where I think he's going
Yeah.
to have to learn. But you could tell this team doesn't prepare like the championship teams whatsoever. And when you have veterans coming here saying it's the easiest camp they've been to, that's a red flag. Riley says hi, guys.
God, look at this.
Riley.
Jalen Phillips is another one that like think about like
I like it.
Jalen Phillips. What do you even do with Jalen Phillips? Like I just
He's on his 5th year. I bring him back.
yeah.
And yeah, he's banged up with injuries. He's one of the guys with injuries, but he's a leader. He's a dog. He works hard. And look, if he gets injured again, it is what it is. Let him go.
Because here's the
But
thing that this is my biggest
not making
problem with the
things with
team.
him like we did ABG. I'm just putting that
No,
out.
I know.
I'm gonna hang
You
off.
see ABG what he just did.
I think you
Go
have
watch
to
it.
bring back Phillips is on the 5th year, and yes, but here's the thing with this team. It's not bad luck that our team is one of the most injured teams. This team is old, super old, and all the players are super injury prone. And we draft Jalen Phillips, great work ethic, solid leader. Guy medically retired in college. Okay. Look at Bradley Chubb, old. And
Right.
you can't bring him back. You have to trade him, or I don't know. Is he a free agent now?
No, so you have to trade him or trade, cut, or rework to save money.
You got to do one of the two. You got to
Yeah.
you got to trade or cut, in my opinion. You can't.
Yeah.
You just got to move on from Bradley Chubb. You can't trust him. I mean, health wise, and you got to
Yeah.
try and I wouldn't. I wouldn't try to restructure and add void years or anything like that. I would trade or cut and move on. And then our offensive line is Alston Jackson, unfortunately, is starting to get now. And I agree, he's a good right tackle when healthy, but 2nd year in a row he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And then you got the quarterback who just is a walking injury. So
And
you
that's
can't
why I
trust
said,
him at all.
Austin Jackson, it sucks because he was healthy for a while, but he's had
Yeah.
issues with his body, bringing it, and for obviously what he did for his sister and all. But Austin Jackson, because he's affordable, because Jalen Phillips is affordable, and here's the deal: if Jalen Phillips has a decent season, misses a few games, gets banged up, you can rotate defensive ends, and you can get him on a team friendly deal. You know what I mean? So guys like that, I could live with because he's a good player when he's on the field, and he can rotate, but he's going to work his ass off to get back. And then you could let him take his time to come back. Don't rush him back. But so I'm okay with that. But guys who are just unreliable, we got to move on from the Teron Armsteads. We have.
Oh yeah, exactly. Can't.
He's not reliable week to week, and the more that you're injury prone at the top, the thinner your roster gets. People want to yell at the defense for how they played today. Storm Duck, an undrafted free agent, was covering Devontae Adams.
I know.
What did you expect to happen?
Exactly.
What do you want us to do?
Exactly.
And you know damn well you put Ramsey on him, Rodgers going to tear up Storm Duck with another receiver. So it doesn't matter. It's just the safety coverage is bad. So it's just you have it's so thin. And like you said, Poyer's older and aging. And we
have 18 players on IR.
Yeah. And so do the Lions. And look where they're at. That just shows
but look
you
at the Packers. You know how many players the Packers have on IR? 3.
In fact, the year they won the Super Bowl, didn't they have a long list of players there and some key ones? They had Ryan Grant broke his ankle, dislocated his ankle, right? And so they lost their running attack. And Starks he wasn't as good as Grant at the time, wasn't as effective. He did his job, he did good, but I think they lost their tight end. They were down to tight end 3. I think Austin Corliss was their starting tight end for a lot of that season. So you can overcome injuries when you have the right pieces healthy, and that's just how good Rodgers was. He elevated that roster. So I mean, they still have
this
some
team
talent.
is a perfect storm of bad because we're injury prone AF, old, and mentally weak. Because that's the thing. Those teams, when they have injuries, the next man up is a real thing because those guys are tough. They are tough SOBs who will hit and take hits, and they're not afraid, and they're hungry. And our guys on the bench.
Yeah.
They're a reflection of the guys in front of them. They're a reflection of the guys in front of them.
And if you notice, we seem to have better luck when the defense gets injured. Look at our defense last year. Even with all the injuries, the defense was respectable down the stretch.
They
outside of the
were
Baltimore
respectable.
Game. They were respectable against KC. They were respectable in 2022 against the Bills. They kept us in the game. And this year the defense was respectable. Even though we had so many changes at linebacker. even if the secondary was just awful, like at times, especially the safeties, like the linebackers, like Jordan Brooks, after that Packers game, like Jordan Brooks would flash. As soon as they got David Long off the field, Jordan Brooks started playing better. And it was almost like he wasn't getting laid out to dry anymore. And then Brooks was like, he took it to heart that they were being called soft. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's a
Dude, that
fit.
guy's playing hurt
wear.
too, man.
Yeah,
Like, that
and
guy's playing hurt.
He's playing physical too. And he's like,
Yeah.
if the shoe fits, we got to wear it. You saw the pain in his face. Like he was kind of disgusted at it. And then he took that personal. And the rest of the season after the Packers game, he was our best defensive player outside of Sealer and Robinson and all. And he's done a fantastic job. Like he's kind of been the heart. So I'm like, you know what? I want Brooks back. Oh, and he's on a 3-year contract, but like Brooks has been that guy that's kind of like, hey, we're just going to fight through it. And we need more of those guys. And Dobson steps in for Walker. You know, Walker stepped in for Long. You know, like the defense, that to me, to Evan's going to like this part, that's where I think Weaver is a much better coach than McDaniel because, all right, we got injuries. All right, next guy up. You know, we lost all these defensive ends. You know, all these guys were supposed to be ready to go. They weren't ready. One retired on us, and yet here we are still being able to blitz and generate pass rush. Even though it's with scheme, we're still able to do it with guys that are undrafted free agents and third stringers and guys off the street. You know, it's just like Seattle let 2 guys go that were good. So it's like, holy hell. Yeah, this is awesome. Like the Weaver's making everything he can out of this defense.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he told Grier the same things that Fangio told him, and lo and behold, they got rid of David Long for it. They had to upgrade linebacker, and it seemed like Grier must have listened to Weaver because he's telling him the same things that Fangio was telling him.
By the way, Brett, you weren't on the show when I said this. Right now, at this exact moment, the Patriots won today. Whether they faced a backup team or not, they won.
This was kicking my butt.
Can you believe today the team with the most holes and the worst upside as it's currently constructed is the Miami Dolphins? Why? Josh Allen is going to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We all know they'll do the Rooney Rule, do whatever they have to do. Mike Vrabel is going to be the next head coach and kicking our ass with the Patriots and Drake May. Woody Johnson, he's a moron, but they now get to go. They have a search, and they're going to do whatever they can. They can go draft a new quarterback or go get a quarterback and redevelop, and they still have young talent there, and they have a good defense. Right now, as they are constructed, if we head into next season with Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier, we are going to be worse in the division. We will have no development. And think about this. This season, we almost lost to the Patriots twice because the Patriots were in both games, and we only won the first game by half a toe. And the Jets almost beat us twice, and they gave the game away in Miami. So basically, the Dolphins were this close to going 0-8 in their own effing division this year. How pathetic is that? Sorry, 0-6. They almost went 0-6 in their own division.
McDaniel was 10-8. I mean, he's 10-8 in the division overall. It's 4-2 against the Jets. He's 5-1 against the Patriots.
28-23 as the head coach.
Yeah, he's 1-5 as against the Bills. Like I said, how much better have we got with Grier taking over as GM?
We're the same.
Yeah.
I said this in the beginning of the show. 6 years ago, I was 27 years old. I had no kids and I wasn't married. And this team was a 7-9, 9-7 team. That's what they were 6 years ago.
And Neal was like,
later,
I pass on a good team. My kids.
6 years later, I got 2 kids. I'm married. Okay. My life has fundamentally changed. The only thing
you have less hair.
The same was this team. This team was the only thing in my life that didn't change in 6 years. The only thing.
Don't like and subscribe.
By the way, we would like to tell Riley, Bobby, I think you owe a kudos. You've yet to formally thank Riley that on Fitz Talk Overtime, we got at least 3 or 4 more subscribers. She was phenomenal pushing the network. So I would like to thank Riley personally for helping the network reach 2,000 subscriibers. Thank you, Riley.
Thank you, Riley.
Thanks, man.
And thank God you don't look like your dad.
It's
the same team, y'all.
The same team. It is, and that's what's frustrating. I mean, look, obviously emotions are high, right? So I see some people saying, "Hey, I get it," and I appreciate those who are still standing there. and standing on that and trying to, hey, let's take it easy. But you can't. And shout out to Alex Brown, always part of the FTSN family, formerly one of our contributors here on the channel. He's a Texans fan. Shout out to him. But I just want to say first, that's what's disappointing, right? I mean, I understand like Mike Brown, former contributor as well as FTSN, but part of the FTSN family, coming on here, and saying, hey, Mike deserves another year, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I won't, everyone has a right to their opinion. But the fact remains is that, and there are some pieces here that you can go in next year and say, we have a good building blocks that could help, so you could build from this, whether it is the Chop Robinsons and the Devon Achans and the et ceteras, Malik Washingtons and so forth. There are pieces that you could build on, but the issue is Miami, starting with your general manager and supported by your head coach, spent a lot of money and draft capital on this team, trading picks for Tyreek Hill, trading for Bradley Chubb, getting Jalen Ramsey. You spent all this money and time, and now it's going to bite you in the ass even harder because No Holds Barred, brother, is killing it. I hope you're following us. Me and Josh Kimmelman, we're having a blast there, and I would love to have you on again, even for just a guest spot, just so you come on and shoot it with us, brother, Alex. And so, but I just want to say, the cap space, the new contracts, all that was done for this team to be where they are right now. They're not 9-8. They did not make the playoffs because the Broncos just won. No, they laid an egg today. This team failed on all check marks. You check mark it all. They failed on all that. Their coach did not hold them to it. Their general manager failed them. Look, now we're talking about dead cap for Tyreek because Tyreek now in his feelings is saying, I want out.
Yep.
But she kind of been playing around with that all year, kind of teasing here and there. But now you're gonna be shit out of luck because that contract's gonna kill you. So that's why Dolphin fans have every right to be disappointed.
Oh yeah,
have every right.
I have been going to a game.
Livid.
I've been going to a game, like away games, and into Miami. I've been traveling there and buying good seats, and at least once a year for the past like 3 or 4 years. I'm not going to a game next year. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I don't blame you.
I
you
just,
saw
I'm
Greg's
spending the
not
money,
renewing
dude.
his tickets.
I'm just not spending the money.
No,
That's my thing.
Greg's not renewing his tickets, and they've come back to him at the end of December. You sure you don't want to renew? They thought they had a waiting list.
And I'm telling you, like, they don't do enough for you guys as season ticket holders.
No.
Oh no, it's terrible.
And like
Terrible.
their social media has been bad. And honestly, I think if Ross doesn't make a decision, he's going to feel this in his pocketbooks next year, and I think he's going to kick himself in the butt. And I was just doing some notes here. He fired Gase when they went 7-9 his last year. They fired Flores after going 5-11, 10-6, and 9-8. So McDaniel goes 9-8, 11-6, 8-9. Honestly, it's more of the same as Gase and Flores, which tells you that we have more of just a whole structural problem, which we all know.
It's a foundational issue.
Yeah,
that's why
and Ross has to make a decision again.
Dude, this team
For me,
had more.
the
This
most
team
important
had more
thing
talent
is
than Gase had,
Yes,
and they're the same.
This team it starts with Chris Grier. Start with that. You take care. And as Brett brought up earlier, I said when they let go of Flores, you bring in a veteran head coach, and everybody says, and they still say it because I said it right now. If you fire McDaniel, you get a veteran head coach or a coach who's a former player, but a veteran head coach. Why a former head coach? Oh, I brought up McDermott, and but he failed. Oh, he was horrible as a head coach. Well, you know what? That's why they're a former head coach. Now you need a guy who's been there, done that, and look where they are now. Now you look at Flores. Flores is a hot name. If Dolphin fans will go, oh, Flores was horrible. Oh, don't hire Flores. But guess what? Around the league, Flores is a hot name. Why? Because he's a former head coach. We know what he failed at, but look what he did in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Look what organization he's coming from. That's huge. So that's why to me it was important. And you see why now. So you talk about McDaniel. We were talking Grier, but now McDaniel. Why McDaniel was not the right choice. Right. He was the right choice for Tua. He made Tua a better quarterback. There is no question. Give him his flowers. Okay. But he's not a good head coach. He's not a good play caller. If he wants to be the OC so damn bad, demote him or boot him. That's simple.
Well,
3 years is enough.
I don't even know if I want to give him the credit for two anymore because look what it materialized into.
P double
Like, it doesn't
McDaniel.
matter.
Miami only interviewed McDaniel, or Miami was the only
Yeah.
one who interviewed Coach McDaniel. No one
Yeah.
else did. Not
Right.
one team interviewed Mike McDaniel other than the Miami Dolphins.
Yep. I think we're the only one to interview Kellen Moore too.
Pete Carroll.
Well, guys, can
love
I,
Pete
uh,
Carroll.
Pete Carroll, I would love, but the problem
day.
is him and Grier work together.
breaking news, guys. I
and
have to
they-
read this. Breaking news. I want to thank the players and coaches for their hard work throughout the 2024 season, as well as the fans for their support. As the owner of the team, I am ultimately accountable for our success and failures. We fell short of our expectations this season and understand and share in the frustration our team has performed on the field. As we look now towards 2025, our football operations will continue to be led by Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel with my full support. Their positive working relationship is an asset to the Dolphins, and I believe the value of stability. However, continuing leadership is not to be confused with acceptance of the status quo is good enough. We will take a hard look of where we have fallen short, making necessary changes to deliver our ultimate goal of building and sustaining a winning team that competes for championships. So
He's
it's been
delusional.
officially confirmed by Stephen Ross, formerly on the Miami Dolphins website, that those two assholes will be back. Excuse me.
He's delusional. He's just
Sell the effing
He's
team, you
delusional.
moron. Sell the team.
he's just not serious about winning. He just doesn't. Like, I
team
think
is
he's
lost
too
for
old now.
2026.
I think he's too old now. He's thinking about the F1 and the venue, and the team makes enough money to where he doesn't give a shit.
He
Like,
doesn't
that's
give a
just
crap
what it
about
is.
the
He doesn't
team.
give a
He
shit.
is now
He's just
proven
too old,
he
you
has
know. Like,
no interest in a winning team.
he's already selling pieces of the team off. Like, there's just this
This is a
isn't a
joke.
serious organization. They don't
What
they
a
don't want to win.
laughing
They don't
piece
want
of
to win.
shit he is.
They don't want to win. That's all it is. It's not a serious winning organization. And I think as fans,
Or the
all of us
Cowboys.
need to start thinking about what level of care
I'm done.
we are going to attribute to this team. Because, like, you know, as a fan, as a diehard Dolphins fan, I think I'm going to watch the games because, you know, it's
Ugh.
Sunday and it's a habit at this point. But am I going to
yeah,
care
yeah.
about what happens? I don't know anymore.
Greg,
I don't know
you're
if
not
I'm going to
helping.
care about what happens.
Guys,
You know,
guys, my daughter drew this, so at least we have this for positive, okay? We have this for positive. Thanks, Riley.
Good job.
I mean, at least someone's heart isn't broken because mine is. My heart
I
is
am
shattered.
literally
It's funny.
distraught.
I told people, I said, my daughter does not have to be a Dolphins fan. I said, I'm not going to put her through that heartbreak. If she wants to be, that's fine, but she does not have to be. And she was
I have a
watching the game,
vanity
she's like,
plate with Miami Dolphins on it. I now need to go look and find a new vanity plate for my Montreal Canadiens.
I
or something,
cannot believe
because I am
that.
not driving around town with that Miami Dolphins thing being laughed at for the
I'll
next
tell
I
you,
just can't believe Grier. I can't
Oh.
believe Grier is not going.
How do
You know,
you
after
I just
after
retweeted that. said the
Stevie
Dolphins
Wonder
have
is
made
sitting on the
it for playoffs.
sidelines. After Stevie Wonder is sitting there on the sidelines hating his life.
Yeah, and that
you
means
know,
Stu is back. So
you know,
here's a perspective. Please don't kill me. I'm not looking for positives. So here's a perspective. I think what they might be doing is because of the situation they're in, that it's going to be hard to move on from Tua, Tyreek, and all that, and they're going to be in cap hell. It's going to be kind of like Grier, fix this, or you're going to ride with this. You're going to figure things out for this year. That's it. And then after it falls apart, I'm cleaning house. I'm getting all new people to take over. I don't think
yeah.
this is going to. I really think that it's going to be. When he gave Sperano a fourth year, 6-10, he gave Philbin a fourth year, 6-10. I don't see it getting better.
No, it's going to get worse.
Yeah,
It is.
I see a 2011 to 2015 all over.
Well,
again.
because these guys are going all in with their philosophy. These guys are going to go all in, sans Tyreek Hill, and it's going to be terrible. It is going to be terrible.
Yeah, I
Like,
was.
we would be lucky to win 6 games next year.
We're going a full decade with Chris Grier as a GM. Full decade. And the thing is, I put him all the way back to 2016 at this point, because Josh, I mean, I think that's what's happening now. Stephen Ross is just trying to be like Jerry Jones without doing the whole team decisions. But damn, Jerry finds talent better than Grier does.
Dude, how do you have the lack of self-awareness to, on the evening of the collapse of your season in embarrassing, shameful fashion to double down this evening. Like it would have been bad tomorrow to double down. It would have been bad. It's like embarrassing that this evening he chooses to double down on these losers. These losers.
Oh yeah, and we all know at this point. We all know, the beginning of the year, people started really turning on Grier, and it really started happening. And then a flip of a switch happened, and people realized, man, this team sucks. Yeah, Tua got hurt and all, but this team sucks. This team's like they don't have a lot of talent. Well, they have talent on this team, but there's a lot of issues with how this team is constructed. And when you have where you have some talent, it's not good enough to make up for the other talent. And I don't think people fully see the big picture, but they're seeing enough to where they're being disgruntled and they're being loud and they're being boisterous. And Bobby, you were talking this morning with Dahl and Evan about like the Steelers, and the Steelers are wanting Tomlin. And
I
was
just thought of
commenting
them,
on
dude.
there. And the thing is, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't agree with Steelers fans wanting Tomlin gone because he's a great coach. He's fantastic. They'll get things straightened out, and I know that because they've done it before, right? Here's the thing. Steelers fans have had enough of where the Steelers are sitting right now. Dolphin fans are just now having enough. So, like, you see, like, and the Steelers are going to feel that. They're already, the Steelers front office, I guarantee, is feeling that. Like, man, our fans are not happy with wild card right now. We had the division, and we're not happy with wild card. They're a little pissed off right now, and rightfully so. And they're going to want to fix it. Where like Ross is just kind of like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, blah blah blah. Like Ross doesn't respect like the winning, or he just doesn't feel the pressure from the fans to make a change. Well, I can tell you, he's probably going to feel it this year because I mean, just a handful of people I've talked to, they don't want to renew season tickets. They're just not interested in going. And I guarantee you, we're going to see like we saw before we gazed. The seats are going to be emptier than normal.
Empty. You know, I would kill to be a Steelers fan. I would kill for that organization.
Let me ask this. So I'm reading over his statement, and I have
Shame on you for wasting a beautiful Family Guy is a historical, wonderful show, and you would waste a tweet on Family Guy?
It's not Family Guy.
Who is it? What is that then?
It doesn't matter. Let me finish my point. Reading over his statement.
American Dad?
No, dude.
I'm just kidding with you. I'm giving you shit.
What the hell is it? See, don't bother me. Let me think for a second. God dang it, Evan. It's wrong. I don't know. It was perfect for what I was thinking. But anyway, the positive working relationship is an asset to the Dolphins, and I believe in the value stability. Whatever. However, continuity in leadership is not to be confused with an acceptance that the status quo is good enough. We will take a hard look at where we have fallen short and make the necessary changes to deliver our ultimate goal of building and sustaining a winning team that competes for championships. So you're not getting rid of Grier. You're not getting rid of McDaniel. We are taking a hard look and to make the necessary changes to deliver our ultimate goal. What are the necessary changes? Right? When you hear that, you try to dig through what the hell he's talking about.
Well, the special teams coach is probably gone for sure. I think he's gone.
Okay. The necessary changes. First of all, they're going to start with changing their philosophy, how they do things.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think maybe the changes is who's in charge of the draft, who's in charge of talent and getting talent acquisitions. Because I think Grier needs to step away from that. I think he needs to stop doing it. Who's in charge of contracts and all that. And I know Brandon Shore is good about maneuvering money and maneuvering contracts and language and all that stuff. So far, he's done a good job of helping the team and doing contracts right up until this year. I don't know like if those were. And I'm just going by what I read and understand. But they're going to have to get. Now, I don't want to hear backup quarterback as far as like just in case for Tua. I want quarterback competition, and if it's in the third round, that's fine. I don't want it in the first round, but like I want them to be honest with themselves and start focusing on finding difference makers, finding guys that make a difference. But I think the thing is going to have to be stick to your guts, or stick to what winning football is, and start looking around the league and saying What's the difference between us and them? Why aren't we there?
Yes, king of the
And
hill.
then
Sorry.
that's what we're gonna have to do,
Sorry.
in
It's
my
okay.
opinion. So we'll see what happens. But that's the differences they're gonna have to make, and they're gonna have to find playmakers at every level on defense. They're gonna have to find playmakers on offense. And they're going to have to stop. Like, I know we need to fix the offensive line, but there doesn't need to be a focus on the offensive line. We're taking one of the first round, a second round, a fourth round, big contracts. You know what I mean? We need to fix it, and you can fix it with mid-round picks. You can fix it with late mid-round picks, but you need to fix it with the right players, right? But they
How
need to
does this
go
guy?
find
how-
the right guys that are difference makers, and they want to be an outside zone run. Get a freaking tight end that can block outside zone for the love of God. Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
not Julian Neal.
But by the way, the three of you, how in good conscience can that general manager walk up there and on Miami Dolphins, it's going to be recorded. There are comments that are listed there forever. Be literally, excuse me, being ripped by the fan base. There's not one person in the entire fan base that believes in this general manager. How does a guy who has the ear of, how is Tom Garfunkel, how is Dan Marino sitting there in that office with Stephen Ross and basically saying this is a winning team? I was with Don Shula for 20 years of my career, almost 15 years of my career, and I never won, and you continue to want this? It's 25 years of this bullcrap. How do you make changes when the same people are still there?
This is where I just it goes with what you're saying because of my original question. When
Dolphins are making me sick. That's why I'm sneezing.
Jesus.
Somebody has
When
to
you
say
hear
something.
when you hear Ross, when you read what Ross is saying, we're gonna take a hard look and make the necessary changes. Well, when you like Evan is saying, when you have the same people running the organization that you've had, especially Grier, who's been here for 20 plus years and been the GM since 2016, when you have that, what the hell are you talking about?
It's corporate speak. There's going to be no changes.
Well, here's my thing.
Small
The only thing I
tweaks.
could think of, wait a second, hear me out. The only thing I could think of is yes, the players, but a very important player. And that goes with the quarterback. When I read that, I see quarterback.
Hold on. Stop.
Your team, the Dolphins believe just as much as the fans do that this team, and I'm saying it's bigger than the quarterback, but I think the Dolphins believe this team goes as far as Tua will take them. Tua can't be trusted to stay healthy. Miami saw that this year. McDaniel finally said, you can't even be put on the field because you put your team in a bad position. You're not healthy enough, and you put us in a bad position to win. McDaniel said it. That's what I get from it. He is saying we're gonna take a hard look and make the necessary changes. I think he's putting the magnifying glass on Grier, on McDaniel to make something happen.
By the way,
Sorry,
breaking news, guys.
Can
Your
you
wife's
get away from the
comment,
mic?
Bobby, just got me.
You're popping me, man.
Bobby, your wife's comment just got me. I felt the comment and I can't stop laughing at it.
By the way, breaking news. They are going to have next year. They're going to be expanding the playoffs in the AFC specifically to 15 teams, and the only team that won't make the playoffs is the Dolphins. Wouldn't that be amazing? Expanded to 15 teams. I guarantee the Dolphins don't make the playoffs. They'll find a way to.
Bobby, that's interesting. I mean, okay. So I guess elaborate a little bit more on that because
Yes.
I kind of want to know where that goes. Because if Ross is saying, essentially hinting at potential change with the quarterback or the quarterback philosophy, what does that look like potentially?
Say that one more time. I'm so sorry. Broke up there.
So you're saying that Ross could be hinting at a potential change at quarterback. He and maybe McDaniel and Grier, maybe they're looking at the quarterback situation and saying, okay, well, something needs to change. He needs to change. He is not healthy enough to lead us. This team cannot go as far as it needs to go with him. So if everybody essentially only has one more year, because what I get from that message is you got the year to fix it.
Yeah.
What could that look like?
Yeah, and so look again. I'm just getting. I'm telling you what I get from it when I read
Yep.
that letter or that statement, and I look at that. What's when you're saying, oh, because we're keeping them, that doesn't mean that we're okay. I'm okay with what happened. We're taking a hard look. We're going to make necessary changes with this roster, and I think it starts and ends with the quarterback. If you're not going to make a change, and we know Grier is not afraid that if he thinks his job's on, he's going to make some crazy ass move. Hold on, Evan. Hold on. So, and I want to say to those who are like, oh, what we just extended to whatever, they just signed Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. They're going to cut him. Okay.
Yeah.
They've done it before. If you're going to end up trading Tyreek and eat the damn cap, you can figure out something. Now, does that mean getting rid of Tua? I don't know. But does that mean making a play at maybe the QB at 13? I mean, I don't think there's anybody worth it, or making a play for a quarterback in free agency because that could be the case. I mean, there's nothing else on this roster besides, oh no, we need to go crazy on the offensive line. That Stephen Ross says we're going to go deep dive and take a hard look at our situation and make changes. There is nothing on this roster other than quarterback in some fantasy scenario, even though I think this is bigger than the quarterback. That would make me go, that's what he's looking at. That's what he's saying. Go ahead, Evan.
Two things. When you have people like, much respect for these people, the biggest fans you'll ever see out there, Dolph Freaky, Big E, who you love, we all adore, praise up, continued health, being disgusted by this. You're talking about the most positive, supportive fans being disgusted by this. But now it makes me reflect back on Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill may have had an in on what the heck is going on in this organization, and the fact that the status quo is not good for me anymore. And maybe if I'm Tyreek Hill, we may not want him there. But if I'm Tyreek Hill, if I'm Anthony Weaver, if I'm Jordan Brooks, if I'm Devon Achane, if I'm Zach Sealer, if I'm the team, if I'm the players, Jonnu Smith, this is a mutiny. Like, I would walk out. If I'm a player on this team, I'd literally go on frickin' strike. This is who my leader is. This little shrimp of a goofball and a guy who is. By the way, you know what's the most pathetic thing about Chris Grier? At least Stephen Ross shows up to games. Chris Grier has not been seen in months since that game where you saw half of his face because he is two-faced.
Hey, that was a great meme. I turned it into a great meme.
Exactly. By the way, Bobby, as a lot of Dolphin fans today, remember that famous promo from Dave Bautista where he was in the ring with his cast and he was wearing the wheelchair and how he quit? That's how Dolphins fans feel. Like I quit. Like honestly, Mike McDaniel, take your ball and go home. Like, honestly, it better not be a money thing with Ross. It better not be that because you extended McDaniel, you don't want to have egg on your face. You already have egg on your face. Because I like Brett said, they probably extended Grier at the exact same time. Who cares? It's just money. You're about to lose your best player. Who cares? But you're going to lose your best player. And you're bringing back this nonsense. You're going to have Josh Allen potentially going to an NFC championship or winning a Super Bowl. You're going to have Mike Vrabel. And you're going to have probably a really good head coach in New York. You're going to get destroyed next year. It doesn't matter what you do roster-wise. You're in cap hell. You're in cap hell. You're not getting away from that. And are you telling me what you saw on offense? There's nothing you can do at quarterback because Mike McDaniel's two-safety scheme, he cannot throw the ball deep with the two-safety scheme, no matter who it is, unless he gets two big-body wide receivers and plays 50-50 balls. It's an absolute joke. Then what did he see from Mike McDaniel's offensive play calling? And you know what the worst part is? With this full 100% support, the minimum of what we wanted, which was Mike McDaniel to give up play calling, won't happen. And it's going to be the same nonsense and the same crap and the same bullshit again next season. This is an embarrassment. There's no more right now on X. There is no more laughable franchise. Who would have thought that if you had to put it in order in Miami sports, the number, you guys are big, we're all Miami sports fans. This pales in comparison to the choke job of Miami, of the Hurricanes. This pales in comparison to what's going on with the Heat. This pales in comparison to the choking of Inter Miami. This chokes on the fact that there's been a little bit of a drop-off with the Panthers, but they're still doing great. The Marlins are more respectable because at least they know that they tell us they're tanking. They tell us that they're crap. But
I mean,
the one
we
day when
did
they
say
just,
we
I
were
guarantee you, if
tanking.
the Marlins decide to win, they can win a championship in 2-3 years with a rebuild. They've done it twice. This Miami Dolphins franchise is the most laughable franchise in the state of Florida right now, because even Jacksonville is going to get away from their head coach, and at least he had some experience, and they have.
I
some
think
developing
Peterson
players.
stays.
No, he won't stay. He won't stay.
Who?
Doug Peterson
Peterson.
will not stay.
I don't know.
All I could tell you right now is the Miami Dolphins, and I said this and I meant it when I said it. Mike McDaniel is the worst head coach in Dolphins history. Chris Grier is the worst GM in Dolphins history.
Yeah.
Because Cam Cameron was given nothing, and he was gone in a year.
He made a decision though. He's
Yeah,
also
this
the
is
guy.
3 years of this.
He's the one that traded Welker for a second-round pick. He traded Chris Chambers. He traded Randy McMichael. So he got rid of all the talent. That was all his decisions.
I don't need a hug, because all I could tell you for me right now is that I'm not surprised by this. But at least now, unlike the end of last season, where I still had this hope, and I was luckily I got introduced to this wonderful gentleman named Greg Miney. I'm going to say Miney as a joke because he tells me that's how to pronounce it. And Brett Lagasse. And I have to apologize to Brett. Brett, you were right 3 years ago. I apologize to you.
Don't apologize.
You're a wonderful man. You're a pleasure. Neal, I'm happy we've converted you. Neal, you're now we're going to be adjusting the graphic. If you can,
I'm just hopeless instead.
No,
I'm
you're not
completely hopeless.
You're now formally
Starting to feel like a
invited
Sith
to
Lord.
Finn's Talk Overtime, where you get to spew your venom and you get full support all the time. You're welcome on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. So all I can tell you is honestly, guys, Stephen Ross is absolutely, he's now surpassed Wayne Huizinga as a worse owner for the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, if you go back all the way, he took over what 20? What did we say? 2010-ish, 2009. It was halfway through 2009, right? It was 7-9, 7-9, 6-10, 7-9, 8-8, 8-8, 6-10, and then we go 10-6 with Gase, 6-10, 7-9, 5-11, 10-6, 9-8, 9-8, 11-6, 8-9. Like I think it's messed up that Flores gets fired for a similar, and it sucks because the 5-11 record is a stain on Flores's overall coaching record, and that's not fair. However, like, what's McDaniel's overall record?
He's now 28-24.
28-24.
Is that it? Like, how many games are in their season? This is the fourth year in a row, the 17 or third year?
1,
Jesus.
2, 3, 4.
So 17 times
Four.
51. Yeah, so he's now 28-20, 27-24, 28. Wait,
I
17 the last 3 years, so that's 51. I think he's 28-23.
Yeah.
Because what is he? 8-9. So he's won 8.
Yeah,
He's
you're right.
won 9.
Yep.
He's won 10, right?
Yep.
He's 27-24.
9, 11, and 8 is what he's won.
He wasn't 11-5.
We were 11-6 last year,
Yeah,
weren't we?
so we're 9, 8, and 11. So he's won 28.
Yep, 28.
So now he's 28-23.
And Flores, in the 2 years after the teardown, was 10-6 and 9-8. So he's 19-14.
Yeah.
Even so, he's not far off, even with the tank season. So he's got 24 wins versus.
Thank you, Scotty. Don't worry. I appreciate you anyways.
Flores was 24-25 with the tank. He only has 2 more losses than McDaniel. Obviously, less games, no playoff appearances. McDaniel had 2 playoff appearances, but Gase had a playoff appearance. What are we saying here? You know what I mean? And yeah, it was the first 11-win season since 2008. But what bothers me is Ross took over the team after they were 11-5, right? He took over the year after, so he finished everything with the ownership in 2009, and this is the best the team has been since he's been the owner. I'm starting to feel like he's kind of like the fans who were younger, and this is like the first time they see the team good, and they're like, "Oh, this team's great," and it just feels like Ross is like, "Oh, this team's the best that's been under me," and it's like whatever. But again, it's just Chris Grier dating all the way back to 2016. It's 8 wins a season on average, and it's a trend of winning season, losing,
Well,
losing, losing.
next year is going to be 6, maybe. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, and here we got so we had 2020, 21, 22, and 23 were all winning seasons. That 4 winning seasons in a row. Finished it with a losing season. We couldn't even, and this was just like this. Actually, now that I look back, this reminded me of what was it, 2013 or 2014? Maybe it was both. 2013, we had a chance at the playoffs. The stars aligned. Week 15, week 16, got punched in the mouth by the Bills, lost it. Stars aligned again, winning in, got punched in the mouth by the Jets. The next year, by week 17, we were out of the playoffs already. But hey, we're 1 game away from a winning season at least. Punched in the mouth by the Jets again. What happened? With chance of winning season at least, punched in the mouth by the Jets again. What's going on here? Like every time we have a chance to win a season, we blow it. It's 22 we didn't. We did a good job there. 23, well, with the win and get in. And 23, they won when they were supposed to win and lost the rest. So I don't know, man.
I was at that Titans game last year, up 2 scores with 4 minutes left, and we lost. I was there.
Seems like we have one of those every year. That was Arizona this year, right?
I had
was
really
there.
good seats too. I had really good seats. I spent a lot of money, unfortunately. Yeah,
That's
heartbreaking.
I'm telling
I
you,
was there in Houston. I was there in Houston this year.
God,
So,
what a horrible game to go to. Man.
let me so come here
I was in
now,
Kansas City
Beach.
last year.
You were come here now, Beach.
it's
No, I
right.
will not be a Titans. I do obviously pay attention to Titans because I'm in Tennessee, but no, I'm Anthony says I'm done putting my emotions to this team. I'm going to be watching a team that with an actual quarterback with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Awesome.
Yeah, good for you. I mean,
I checked out after the Grier news.
Yeah.
To be honest with you guys,
Look, man, I grew up
It's
in this
heartbreaking.
area, and where my family's land is and where I live is the Baltimore market. A little further north is the Philly market, and I could have been one of those. No, I watched Dan Marino. I was like, oh my god, this guy's awesome, and been as all fans ever said. I'm not leaving anywhere, but it's like at this time of year, I just watch playoff football and who's in the playoffs, the teams in my local area, and I just watch like what an idiot. But I'm still gonna be a Dolphins fan. I just don't have a lot of hope for next year, and again, sounds bad. I haven't had a lot of hope for this team year after year, but this is the most deflated I've been in a couple years.
But by the way, get ready. I bet you, even with his injury, they'll extend Phillips. Watch this.
No, no.
Oh yeah, watch. They're going to extend Holland, and
No, they're
No,
not.
and
They're
they're
not
going to
keeping
add.
Holland.
They're
Holland's
going to
gone.
re-sign
Holland's gone.
Eichenberg.
Well, hang on. The
and-
Phillips one isn't so bad. If they extend him though, that's you're opening cap space because he's on a 5th-year option, and
Exactly.
that might just break up your cap space over the next. It might basically
It's got to be team
the
friendly
cap
though.
this year
one,
over two.
I said
It
this
probably will
before.
be.
I said this again. Chris Grier is back, right?
Yeah.
Is he on? Do you believe that? Do you guys actually truly believe that 2026 is a make it or break it for? At this point, is it a make it or break it for McDaniel? Well, when you answer this question, I'll preface what I'm going to say. Is this a make or break it for McDaniel and Grier next year, or is it at this point we have no idea?
should it?
I think it has to be.
Here it is. Here's the
Yeah.
answer. It should be. Will it? I can't tell you that.
I will. I am convinced now, and I said it how many months ago? 2 months ago, Bobby. The Miami Dolphins will not have a first-round pick. He is going to shoot for the fences
No.
for a Max Crosby or someone like that. I'm telling you, Chris Grier is dumb enough
Here's the thing.
to go trade his first-round pick.
Here's the thing. If he does that, he's on the hot seat. And the reason I say that is because he's looking at like he did in 22. I've said it before, and I said it again. 22 and 23. In 22, he started putting all of his chips in for 23. And 23 was the setup to win, and it obviously fell apart. And then he called it a transition year this year, which I did say beginning of the season, and I was really hoping this was wrong, that was his ticket to get out of all of this, right? To say, oh, I'm not at fault. I told you it's going to be a transition year, blah, blah, blah. And with all that, it feels like if he trades picks, he's basically saying, forget it. Let's go all in again. And we're going to go all in again. and we'll see where it goes. But he's going to try to go all in, and that means he doesn't care about 26 and setting the team up for the future. However, I would love it if Ross was like, you're not trading future assets, because if you're not here next year, or if you screw this up, you're not here next year, and I need a GM to have picks. So no, and I need picks. If he trades a pick at 26, I will be pissed. If he trades a first round from 26 for a player this year, if it's not for a quarterback, I'm going to be pretty pissed off, because we need a quarterback by 26.
Yeah, but there's no quarterback that would be worth. I mean, I guess trading up, but like still, even then, like I wouldn't do that. That would be a terrible decision. Like, what other quarterback is there even like outside of the draft? There's nobody I would give up a future first for. Like, I would be pissed. I would be pissed if we lose the first next year for anything. There's nothing that it could be worth.
No, there's no. I'm sitting there thinking any quarterback that could possibly be on the block. There's really
for a first. There's no one that jump. It has to jump out at you. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we can't think of it immediately means that it shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point.
Like if we have to talk ourselves into it, then it's a second or third round pick.
Well, we need to find out who is our Matt Stafford.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, this is where I'm at right now. I think I've had enough time to think about the Ross statement. Like, it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of hopelessness for next year, but potentially for 2026, I could see a clean house and potentially foundation pieces for future success past that. But there is no success next year. Like let's not like I don't want to sell hopium to people, right? Like that's not fair.
Right, yeah.
Like next year's going to be really bad. Like next year, I can speak for myself. I will be watching to see who should stay in 2026. That's what next year's about. Next year isn't about playoffs or beating the Bills. Like we could lose to the Patriots more than once next year. Like the Jets could actually sweep us next year. It's how bad we're going to be. Like we could end up third, fourth in the division.
Well, honestly, and again, I would be okay with being terrible. And the reason I'm okay with being terrible is because, hey, well, at least we have a chance at a high pick in 2026 But
we will have a top 10 pick. We will.
My worst fear is that we end up going 9-8, 8-9.
There's no way, dude.
Tottered right there. Like, no.
I just don't think about what defenses can do to us now without Tyreek Hill.
Neal, there's always a way with this team. They love mediocrity. That's what this team's about. They will win just enough games to knock on the door, but not enough to get in. And that's what will happen.
With who? Who's left? Who's left?
They'll do just
Teron's
enough.
Gone.
Before,
you're getting
good, great, bye. He's not even on the field, bro.
You know what's really sad? You know what's heartbreaking? You know what furthers the heartbreak? Next year's away schedule was actually like the best away schedule we've had in years. Going
we lost
to
a home game, right?
Well, because we're going to Spain, but it ain't cold in freaking Madrid. Okay, I'll tell you that. And and every team at sans the Bills and the Jets is going to be warm weather, okay, or not cold AF. Next year with a real team, that could have been a year that we could have made some noise, but this isn't a real team. Like they're going to waste it. And then in 2026, we're going to have the hardest schedule of all time. It's just the way it goes, man. I mean, there's no hope. I'm a Dolphins fan. I always will be because I'm always going to be a fan
forever.
But
always
just forever.
Bobby, the change is going to be the offense. It just hit me. The changes is going to be the guys like Tyreek.
It has to be
how they run their offense.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Here's the main thing. If tomorrow they say that McDaniel will not be doing play calling, I'll be up.
Well, it's a step in the right direction.
Get
Well,
off the play calling.
I'm going to tell you this though. I'll tell you. I think the constant change of philosophies. Now all of a sudden they don't want to be fast. Now they want to be physical, and now they want to. And then it's just going to be what it's in a couple of years. You're going to want to change that again. It's constant change of philosophy is a problem. Good teams don't have that. So
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we're at the 2-hour mark. It's been a very eventful post-game show. I actually feel pretty good because this is the first time I really have not had to really talk too much. I've just been here and just enjoying the company, having Neal back on, Brett on, with Evan.
Neal.
Yeah, Neal was awesome. Neal's awesome. And that's not the end of our Dolphin coverage. We'll be on. It's just the last post-game show until next season.
Just a vet session this week.
It's been events. It will be. It will continue to be.
It will continue to be.
But hey, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in wherever you're watching. We have almost 260 people watching right now. We got over 100 people watching on YouTube, 155 people through Twitter, Twitch. Guys, thank you so much. Do me a favor, anywhere other than YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Tell us what you think about Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier coming back. It's been confirmed by the owner of the Dolphins. Where do the Dolphins go from here? With these two coming back, what can Miami do to better their chances next year? Because Stephen Ross believes something could happen to make it better. We will see. Until then, that's Finn Stanza, Neal, and Brett. I'm Bobby Finstock. We appreciate you all hanging out with us throughout the season. We'll still be around throughout the offseason. We got draft talk, free agency.
Yeah.
We're here every day, mostly every day throughout the week. So stick with us, like and subscribe. And most importantly, Dolphin fans, I know it's tough, especially today, but fins up.